was so like kind of ragged there.
You got lightheaded there for a second.
Well,
The
hey
Human
everybody.
Torch was denied a bank loan.
I'm gonna switch it up. Well, hey everybody, welcome back to the RageSelect podcast. Here, just play it at 1.25 if you want to hear my normal voice. I'm Jeff.
And I'm like,
yeah, Michael. I'm afraid that we have the big potpourri of news this week.
Yes.
We don't have any states of play. We don't have any Xbox Lives.
none of that fancy shit you guys had before.
Yeah, we just got to go digging around into in the barrel.
This is like the Buc-ee's of news.
We got to find those fish. Those fish are in there somewhere. I've been shooting into this barrel all
the
day.
wily fish.
Yep. So yeah, welcome back everybody to the RageSelect podcast here on RageSelect. I already said I was
just
Jeff.
said that,
I already
yeah.
said that. You think you were tired? I am also tired, but
Second breakfast we got right there. Yeah.
I have the advantage of having drank way too much caffeine, so I'm both tired and awake at the same time. It's kind of like Ambien, except it doesn't cost as much.
Except it doesn't make you make weird tweets.
Except yes, yes,
According to certain people.
Yeah, so we got a hell of a show coming up. We got a lot of tabs of news open and a bunch of crap that happened this week. But before we get to that, Michael, I watched 2 movies this week, and they were both
2 movies?
aggressively mediocre. Two movies. 2 movies. I don't know what
2 times. It's that Arrested Development thing where he's like 2 times. 2 times.
Yeah, I watched 2 movies, and I wish that I liked or disliked either of them more than I did.
Wait,
I
what
thought
did
they
you
were
watch?
both okay. Well, let's see. I watched a romantic movie, and I watched a romantic movie that also had some action in it. Which would you like to hear about?
The romantic one?
Okay. I watched Companion.
Oh, okay.
They put that on streaming. This is like produced by.
Oh, is it already on streaming?
Yeah. They put it on streaming this week. So
I've been meaning to watch that one. Before we get into that one real quick.
Yeah.
If you guys want to watch that movie, it's a movie that works better if you don't know anything about it, apparently.
Yes.
So if you don't want to hear what we're about to say, it's just skip like 4 or 5 minutes or
I won't
something.
I won't go into any specifics about it. The thing is, maybe I'm gonna.
Some of it you have to.
I'm gonna
if you want to talk about the movie. I haven't seen
gesture
it.
vaguely, yeah, because it's one of those movies. I've come to this weird conundrum in my life. I think I've mentioned it a few times. I need to give it a name. I need to call it like this is like Jeff's dilemma, right? Where like I really would have rather have watched that movie not knowing anything about that movie. However, I would not have watched that movie unless I knew something about that movie.
That is the problem with it. My girlfriend's friend said they had watched it, and she's like, "What's it about?" I'm like, "I don't want to say nothing."
Yeah.
But the problem is I have to tell you something.
Yep.
Because how else I'm going to let you watch this movie? All I said was Jack Quaid was in it, and she was on board. So that's I have to show it to her.
And Harvey Gillum from What We Do in the Shadows. You know what? It reminded me of the only time that's worked was with that movie Freaky that had Sebastian Stan in it. Where it's like a romantic comedy for the first 30 minutes, and then it turns into just like a hardcore horror movie after that.
Wait, which one was that? Freaky? I could have sworn that was something else.
Or was it something else?
Freaky was the Vince Vaughn one.
Oh no, that was the Vince Vaughn one. What was it called?
I know which one you're talking about, but I don't remember the name of it either. Because it was a very popular movie on
Fresh.
Hulu.
It was called Fresh.
Yeah.
Came out in 2022.
That was another one that did a really good job at that.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Like Fresh, Barbarian, I think is another good one to go into without knowing as little as humanly possible. The problem is that the trailer for Companion really just kind of like
it tells you the whole thing.
It kind of it
tells you the beginning part.
It tells you the first act twist and like and so. You know, it's not fair. It's not fair of me to be like this. But the thing is that I was more surprised by Fresh and Barbarian. Promising Young Woman was more like of a gut punch.
Yeah.
Ready or Not was more brutal when it comes to a lady has to deal with a big twist where a bunch of crappity crap is happening. And Bodies was better when it came to like, we're talking about young people. This is a commentary on like young people and how they deal with kind of horrifying subject material and stuff like that. So the problem is over the last like 2 or 3 years, I've seen a bunch of movies that just go harder than it did. In fact, you know what? I watched that Companion movie with Megan Fox on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And that was schlockier. Like that was a little bit more just like, oh, you can see everything coming from a mile away, but it's fine. I'm just along for the ride. So it was like, as a clever movie, I don't think it was clever enough to really like hold my. I was like, and I wasn't bored by it. It was just like a solid B.
Okay.
I mean, like not a B movie, not the B movie.
No, I know. Yeah.
But like B out of a scale of A to
she didn't
F.
like make a lawsuit about honey or whatever.
That's right. Yeah, Jerry Seinfeld wasn't anywhere in that movie. That would have been weird if Jerry Seinfeld just showed up at a certain point.
That would have been very strange.
At a certain point, I thought Kevin Bacon just showed up out of nowhere, but it turns out it was just a guy that looked a lot like Kevin Bacon.
So it was Roger?
Yes, it was Roger. So yeah, I really wanted to like it more than I did.
Which is crazy because a lot of people I know really love that movie.
It had a really high score, and again, it may just be that I'm comparing it to other movies, and that
you probably had a little more higher expectations based on just that.
I kind of knew what was going on. Yeah. The it's kind of like the Captain America, the poster, the trailer, everything kind of like
it just sort of tells you what's going on.
Gives you an idea. There's even some like cute stuff in the beginning that like is like, well, that was a little weird, and then knowing like it would have been interesting to not know what was going to happen and then be able to look back on it. So I don't know. It was fine. It was aggressively fine for me. I'm sure some people will like it a lot more. I have a really fickle horror movie taste because, like,
I get it, yeah.
What Talk to Me, I didn't really care for that. Everybody loved that movie.
Everybody really loved that movie.
I was like, I was fine.
I did watch it eventually, and I was like, this is okay, I guess.
I mean, it was fine. Yeah. It was. You really have to be into the like, this is a metaphor thing. Oh yeah,
that's really what it is. But yeah, what was the other one you watched?
I watched The Gorge.
The Gorge?
Yes, that's that's Cargill and Derrickson's new movie on Apple TV.
Oh, I forgot that was happening.
Yeah, that came out. So it's
because it was supposed to originally come out just in Apple TV, and then I think they released it in theaters for a little bit.
Yeah, it's Anya Taylor-Joy, and I forget who the guy is because he's so aggressively just Miles Teller.
Oh, that guy. Mr. Fantastic, the original, or not the original, but the last one.
He wasn't he?
Yeah.
So they're basically that movie is like, oh yeah, he was in Top Gun Maverick.
That was the last thing he did, and he was mostly known for Whiplash when it first came out.
Oh yeah, he was the guy from Whiplash. So anyway, he.
That's the problem with Miles Teller. You're like, he was in that because you forget about Miles Teller so aggressively easily.
Yeah. So Anya Taylor-Joy and Miles Teller, one is an American sniper, and the other one's like a Lithuanian sniper, and they're both recruited to go to these like, it's kind of like a fire watch station, like these big outposts, and there's a big gorge between the two of them that's like misty, and they're very unclear about what you're supposed to do. And what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to go to this place for a year and keep anything from coming out of the gorge. And like every year a new person comes and they rotate, and the new person comes to the two stations, and then eventually they start flirting with each other across this huge chasm. They're like looking through binoculars, and they're dancing, and they're making little notes, and they're writing notes and holding them up and stuff. And then eventually some bullshit happens, and then we got to go into the gorge eventually.
Yeah.
So
and then Red versus Blue happens because they're in a box canyon, and it turns out the whole time.
Yeah, and then they go into the gorge, and it's yada yada yada, and et cetera, et cetera. And the thing with that one is, I like the reviews for that one were very like high 60s, low 70s.
I forgot that movie even existed.
I really like the concept, and like the first 30-40 minutes were very good. Like, I thought that once they kind of got into the gorge, that things fell apart a little bit. Like,
once it starts like actually explaining what's going on.
Well, the explanation wasn't that big a deal. The big thing is that it's like the movie really portrays the two characters as these really capable soldiers, and then they kind of start doing some stupid shit.
Oh, it's one of those things. Okay, I get it.
And like, yeah, I don't know. There's also the finale was kind of aggressively like, wait, what? Why? What? Why? Also, it wasn't clear why they felt the need to put two people in these stations as opposed to like a bunch of drones or something. You know what?
I generally don't know.
I don't know if it's because I knew some of the people that, because I kind of know Cargill a little bit, where I was watching the movie and I was like, why didn't they do this? And I was like, would you do this for any other movie? Or are you just doing this because you're like, I could write a better script? It was a good movie. It looked flashy. They had some interesting ideas about like the stuff that's in the gorge. There was some interesting stuff. It just wasn't, I feel like it was Spinal Tap. It was on like 7, and they needed to turn it up to 11. It just needed more. There were ways to do a lot of the things that happened that didn't require the characters to do stupid shit or et cetera, et cetera. I was thinking of there were some explanations that they could have given for why those people were there and stuff. There were a lot of ways that you could have done stuff where you weren't like, you know that part in episode 2 where they get trapped in the elevator and Obi-Wan Kenobi's just like, wait a minute, we're smarter than this.
Yeah.
And I always focus on that because it comes up that one time and nobody talks about it ever again.
No, they really don't. But I love that line so much because it's one of the few times the movie's just like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yeah. There are a few times in the Gorge movie where I was like, I feel like there were some really simple ways that we could have gotten around some of the sticking places and really brought this up.
Oh, okay.
So again, I thought they were both fine. And in fact, the thing I would say the most is if you got Apple TV and you're hungover on a Sunday afternoon, watch the Gorge. If Companion comes to streaming, watch Companion. But I really wouldn't go out of my way to pay a lot of money for either one. So.
That's fair.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. Yeah.
What about you, Michael? You got anything to talk about?
Well, there's 2 things. One, I'll just throw away real quick, which was I watched Captain America: Brave New World.
Oh, okay.
And it's very similar to what you're saying, where I'm like, I thought it was okay because I wasn't because everybody's just like, I had a lot of friends that are like, I really hated it. I thought it was bad. And it's like, okay, I'm gonna watch this movie with that in mind. I'm like, no, this movie's fine.
Yeah.
A lot of it doesn't make a lot of sense, and a lot of the tension doesn't work for a couple of reasons. One is because all of the posters and all of the everything tells you what's going to happen.
Sure.
In the last part of this film.
Yep.
The other part is that the villain's plan is very weird, and you're just like, what the fuck are you doing, kind of thing. And then there's also it decides to introduce some stuff to the world that people have been waiting to have introduced. Mm-hmm. One thing is it finally explains what's going on with the what you can find within the giant Eternals celestial that got frozen in the Indian Ocean.
Right.
So they finally got back to that. Yeah. Hey, this is what's going on with this, and it's somewhat integral to the plot. And they're like, okay, that's cool. And it's also Harrison Ford is now Ross, and Ross is now the president. And it's like, okay, cool. And it's supposed to be this conspiracy. The trailer makes the conspiracy seem like it's much more intricate. Yeah. But it really isn't. Uh-huh. That's the other problem I have with it. Because Winter Soldier is just it goes super deep. It goes so deep, guys. The roots are fucking everywhere. And this is the conspiracy is that guy.
Wait, it was Gary Shandling again.
Yeah, it was him the whole time, and you're just like, okay, I wish there was more to this. That's the problem. Is there isn't more to what the plot seems to be doing, and even the title doesn't make sense once you're done with it. Mm-hmm. And so it's just it's an okay film. It's but it touches upon a lot of stuff when it comes to Captain America being the Falcon now,
right?
Having lived up to expectations, he now has a new Mexican Falcon sidekick. Okay, and so it's also about him having to deal with that too. And there's some fun to be had with there. And then there's just this weird Israeli character. She was she was introduced in a Hulk comic years ago, and they got the shortest lady they possibly could find for this character. All right, so it makes it very distracting because she will be talking to Sam Wilson, and she's right here on his chest.
Oh my goodness!
And you're just why are you so short? It's just a weird movie. Like I said, it's it's fine. It's aggressively fine in many ways. I know a lot of people who really liked it. I know a lot of people who really hated it. I'm just there in the middle going, I get both sides of this, but I generally I might watch it again one of these days right after watching The Incredible Hulk, because it's very much part of The Incredible Hulk as well. I feel it just pays that stuff off.
I feel that's how I felt about The Immortals, where everybody was like, God, it's the fucking worst. And I watched it and I was like, this is...
Oh, the Eternals?
Or Eternals, yeah. They canceled all that stuff.
As well.
The Inhumans, yeah. But or I watched the Eternals and I was just like, I mean, like, this isn't great or anything, but like, if this wasn't attached to the MCU, I think I would have been a little bit more charitable towards it, because it just would have been like, here's a new superhero movie out of nowhere that doesn't have to do with anything.
Well, the other issue with the Eternals is that would have worked better as a TV show. Like, legitimately, that would have been the one that you should have made a TV show about.
Sure,
because there's so much ground to cover and too many characters to cover.
Yeah.
Whereas Captain America, it's like, well, it's a handful of you guys, and you really should have just worked better on this. And it had like 1,000 reshoots is the other thing about that movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's whole characters that were added from the reshoots, and whole characters removed because of the reshoots.
Sure.
So it just makes it really awkward, because you can feel some of that disjointment.
Was it Tig Notaro? They added in Tig Notaro?
No.
I
wish that
was.
was.
Everything.
That would have been really funny. Also, it's got like the funniest example of like really bad background CGI in the third act.
Yeah.
Because there's a moment where somebody starts like having this impassionate speech, but the entire time it's like as if we were right here with this green screen, and
just
like
Minecraft in the background.
just that in the background, and you're just like, he's clearly not there. Like, none of those people behind him are clearly not there.
Sure.
This is really fucking weird.
Yeah.
So it was just really
Why does
funny.
it have Getty Images on it?
It might as well have. It was really funny. I was like, what the fuck? I was actually, I remember that was the one part that actually was like, okay, I get why you people hate this movie.
All right.
Oh, that, and the other thing, of course, is I watched Invincible. I'm watching the new season Invincible.
It's great.
And that is great.
I really like, I get unabashedly, with no caveat, just be like, you should be watching Invincible. Like, you should be watching Invincible. So, well, speaking of superheroes, we're going to start this week with some Marvel Rivals. We got some reveals in Marvel Rivals. We got some shit to talk about Marvel Rivals, but let's start with some compliment sandwich. Let's do a compliment open face sandwich.
Yeah.
So first we got the reveal of the the Central Park Empire of Night map. I always find map reveals to be very strange for video game trailers because it's just like showing you the background scenery of where a bunch of exciting shit's gonna happen, but there's no exciting shit. I guess there's Dracula. He's in there.
Yeah, there's some interesting stuff going on in the area.
He's like a wolfman of some sort. It's kind of it's strange of them to go the Groovy Ghoulies route for Marvel right out of the gate. Usually you gotta wait a while for Marvel to get into its fucking vampire werewolf phase.
It established it really early on. That's the thing, because there's a lot of because if you read the backstories of a lot of the characters, because that's the thing that Marvel Rivals does that I think is interesting, is they have, if you go through the bios of them, normally when there's a bio it's like 5 sentences. These things are like whole essays worth of like data.
Yeah.
And so it's a lot of them talking about like the Spider-Man side's like, everything was fine, and then the vampires attacked.
Right.
And then so you read Spider-Man's side, he's like, yeah, he fought Dracula and Blade got kidnapped and all this crazy shit. And you're like, what the fuck is going on over there? Because that was like chapter 0, so you don't like, so nothing was even shown yet for this, so this became the immediate thing afterwards.
It's a weird thing to pair with the Fantastic Four.
Oh, 100%.
The Fantastic Four are not generally thought of as the, if your first set of heroes were like Blade and Ghost Rider and like Morbid Time, if it was Morbid Time, like that I could understand.
Yeah, because the last thing was Doctor Doom,
right?
And fighting a Doctor Doom from 2099 or something. Yeah, that's when he should have shown up the first time.
Absolutely.
So it's just very strange that was what they decided. But sure.
It looks like this map also has Squirrel Girl's treehouse fort.
Yeah, so I realized I don't think that's a wolfman. I think that's a giant squirrel.
Oh, is it? Oh,
because
okay.
I looked at it again when it popped up again.
Yeah,
and I had a big fluffy tail.
Oh,
so I think it's like a gigantic mutilated squirrel or something.
I have even less information about Squirrel Girl. Does Squirrel Girl fight Dracula that often?
She fights everyone. Squirrel Girl once defeated Galactus.
Okay,
because she's a crazy person. Ask Amanda; she'll know more than I would.
All right, I want to see this squirrel man. Let's see what's back here. Oh yeah,
it's like a giant fluffy tail.
It's like a were squirrel.
Yeah, it's like
a
got a
squirrel
giant
wolf.
unicorn horn.
Yeah,
too.
it's some kind of squirrel wolf.
It's
squirrel.
fucking weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, and then at the very end, we just got a really brief snippet of Blade.
Is that who that was?
That's who that was at the end. He doesn't have his sunglasses on. He's obviously all mad. But people who have gotten early access to the map have seen that, like, part of the map is Blade, like, trapped.
He's just trapped because he got taken by
by
Dracula.
Yeah, but you can't, like, do anything to help him or anything. Like, obviously,
hey buddy, what's going on? I've been good.
But yeah, so obviously, like, we have confirmation at least that Blade is probably, I mean, he's got a whole character model. He's probably going to be in the game relatively soon. Plus, he's going to shoot guns and throw stakes and fucking daywalk.
Daywalk.
It's the opposite of moonwalking. It's where you go forward.
Yeah.
It's a daywalker.
Exactly.
He's the opposite of the Nightman. Champion of the sun.
He pulls out the gun. You know what it is, bitch.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so Blade is there, and we've got this new map, and it's all live. It should all be live by the time you hear this. I think it goes live tomorrow as of us recording this, but
I'm really excited for all this stuff. I haven't really been playing the game as much as I'd like to.
I think it's already gotten to that point where it's like there's too much of a meta, and I'm too scared to play it now of being like, people are going to yell at me because I want to be fucking the Punisher, and they'll be like, "You idiot, why aren't you being Loki?" And I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
There's a meta, and I don't know a lot of people who actually are playing it too. Yeah, because that's the thing. That's the thing about multiplayer games. I have more fun when I'm playing with somebody. Yeah. Otherwise, I'm just flying around having people yell at me. Yeah.
Every multiplayer game, I feel like I can play it for 4 days, and then it's like the meta gets calcified, and everybody starts yelling at you, and go fuck yourself. And I am not interested in playing anymore.
Surprisingly, Fortnite has not done that to me.
Well, this is for babies. The other thing we got our last two. We got number 3 and 4 of the Fantastic Four.
Yeah.
We got Ben Grimm, the Thing.
Busy clobbers.
They fucking spend this entire trailer building up to him saying it's clobbering time. I thought it was so funny because I realized when I was watching these two new trailers that Ben Grimm and Johnny Storm both have like catchphrases, and Reed Richards and Sue Storm don't. Like,
of course, you've never heard him say it's stretchy time or whatever.
Stretchy time,
or I only do science and I don't care about my wife sometimes.
Yep, there's that one. That thing that Reed Richards always says.
And then there's also the thing that Susan says where she says, "I'm here too."
Yep. So yeah, Thing is obviously a big tank, or what they call a Vanguard.
Yeah.
He's got like some stuff he can throw Wolverine, and he's got like rush attacks, and like can hit the ground, and a bunch of stuff comes up. Johnny Storm looks like a fucking nightmare. He's a Vanguard, obviously, and flies and can shoot.
A
duelist.
Yeah.
He flies. He obviously shoots a bunch of fire at everybody. I don't know. There was like a combo attack that he does here in this trailer where he makes a thing of like an area of fire, and then somebody puts a tornado in it. It becomes a flame-nado.
That's the Storm super fusion thing.
Oh, okay.
So when Storm does her special, her combo is that it lights on fire because of Johnny Storm.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. It looks like an absolute nightmare, and then I'll like totally get everybody gets caught in it and dies.
It looks pretty crazy. People are pretty much like, you're going to see that a lot probably in the beginning.
Yep. So yeah, all of them should also be out on the 21st. Good times. Good times all around.
I love that the Fantastic Four has started getting love again. Yeah, because I know Marvel was suppressing that because of the rights issues, for a long time. So.
I still, I don't know if I've ever talked about it on the show, but the teaser that came out for the MCU Fantastic Four. What's his name? Mr. Fantastic.
Pedro Pascal.
Pedro Pascal is too buff.
He's an interesting choice.
He's too big. He's too big and buff to be Mr. Fantastic.
I'm not used to him being like bulky looking. I'm
He's
used to
both
being
tall and wide.
Yeah, I'm used to him being the skinniest man alive, basically.
Yeah. There's a lot of skinny actors in Hollywood. Go get one of them skinny actors.
Very lanky guy.
All right, so that's the good news. The bad news is that a bunch of folks a whole team got dissolved and a bunch of folks got laid off this week from Marvel Rivals.
Yeah.
So here are the facts as we know them. There's a Seattle-based team that was outsourced to do design and some remote work, a lot like the way that U.S. teams will outsource to support studios in Asia. This is kind of the opposite way around. Where NetEase had outsourced a bunch of stuff to the Seattle team. That entire team apparently was dissolved.
Which is fucking crazy.
Yep. Okay. Let's roll down a few things. I agree that it's crazy and I don't like it, but let's roll down a couple of things real fast.
Yes.
One, this was a support studio. So I don't know how this isn't how it should be, Michael, but
No.
I don't know how secure you should be if your entire studio is working support for another game. Like, if you worked in a company and all you were doing was making assets and quest design for Assassin's Creed Shadows, I think you should have your resume ready around the time that Assassin's Creed Shadows comes out. Because, and again, I'm not saying this is how it should be, but traditionally speaking, like, full-on teams of developers will just all get fired the day a game comes out.
Yes.
Like, usually that's for single-player games, but for this, you know, for a multiplayer game, that's not as much of a thing. However, this is a support studio, and I'm not saying that this is right, but I'm just saying that's how the video game industry is. Number two, and we've got some more stories about this, and it's been going on for a little while. NetEase has been pulling every single arm of their octopus back into the main branch. They have dissolved numerous teams over the last 4 or 5 months. They have canceled a lot of projects, and basically anything that wasn't being developed in China, they have a lot of that stuff has been defunded, taken offline, canceled, cut loose, all that stuff. So this is like, again, I think that I don't think that it is unreasonable for you to be like, wow, we've got the game that is breathing down Overwatch's neck right now. This is so popular. Surely we're not going to get laid off. And it's like, well, your parent company has been pulling all of their funding for the main company for this game has been pulling everything the world over. So to be like, well, surely they wouldn't do it to us. Again, I don't think that developers should have to listen to the RageSelect podcast, like, or keep track of what their parent company is doing just to know whether or not this shit's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think it's fully unreasonable that a game that is apparently as popular as this game is simply can't sustain itself. Like, this seems to be more of a consolidation move than anything else.
Well, so what is it that they did on the game that we know of?
It's not entirely clear, but it's like some... it's hard to say. I don't entirely know. I read a bunch of these articles and I don't entirely know. It's like some design, some level design, some level crafting. I think there's some battle tweaking and stuff that they did. Like, I'm not entirely sure.
Because that's the one thing that a lot of people are worried about, is depending on what it is that the people who got fired did, because that's really what's going to come down to. I think if they were doing really big things, like designing characters and stuff, then you're going to start noticing that really easily.
Sure.
But if it was just like, this chair is different, that is here in the background, then you're not going to notice something like that.
Yeah.
So I'm just curious to really what it comes down to what they were doing.
You know,
there.
I have a feeling that what they were doing was probably like when you're creating a game, right? When you're building the game for its release, you need a lot of assets, right? And you once the game has launched, I've said it before that, like, a live service game, an MMO, an online game, whatever, the amount of support that it takes to keep a game running once it's up and running is dramatically lower than what it takes to basically create a game that's going out the door.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling that they were brought in to do, level stuff. Here, you guys take 3 of these 7 levels that we're going to launch with, or they're going to create, like, skins or bonuses or the accoutrements on a table or something like that. I honestly don't know. This is all speculation.
You know what would be the funniest thing is they're all the ones that were making the asses as fat as possible on the different outfits. And they're like, oh, everybody's flat now. I don't know what happened.
Every time I'm on a call with Beijing, I'm like, guys, we got to get these numbers up. These asses are too small.
They're not. They need to be more Pixar-like.
Come on. I sent you guys The Incredibles 3 weeks ago. Are you telling me nobody watched that shit yet? Come on. Maybe that's, maybe that whole support studio gets hired by Epic Games, and suddenly everyone in Fortnite, suddenly Sub-Zero's ass is
just fucking popping.
Yep, it's coming out.
It's a fucking fatality.
Now, this has obviously created a bunch of, backlash, because to everybody out in the world, the news is that, you helped make a really good game that is beloved by a bunch of people, and, like, that's not enough. So there's a lot, like, I think that the thing that probably I don't like the fact that this fucking cow meme has become a thing.
It's been around for a while, though.
The one that I like the most is the Fred Armisen from Parks and Recreation.
Oh yeah,
where he says, make a bad game, fired. Make a good game, fired. Make an incredibly successful game, believe it or not, also fired. Which the whole situation fucking sucks.
It sucks.
It sucks.
Like you said in the beginning, it makes sense of how it ended up happening.
Yep.
But the problem is that it doesn't matter what you're a part of at the end of the day. Somebody, for some reason, it always ends up this way.
Yeah.
You could probably make Fortnite and you would still fucking go down. You could probably make the new God of War that's going to sell billions of fucking games.
Yep.
And you're still going to get laid off in some way because somebody just isn't willing to spend the money to keep you.
Yep. It's very demoralizing. I'm hoping that, with Marvel Rivals on their resume, that these people will have a good chance of finding new gigs.
That is the best thing about this, is that they have one of those big games on their resumes.
They're also in Seattle, which has a lot of game companies.
That's true.
It's probably going to be.
They don't get a lot of sleep though.
That's true. Probably not going to be the worst thing in the world, which is not me excusing this at all. But by the same token, I'm not. I don't want to say this. Video games from the entire time, not just since these mass firings have been going on, but video games have been a volatile industry to work in for ever. Forever.
The only time it wasn't was when it took one guy to make a game, which was 81.
Well, no, but even today you can have one guy that makes a game. It just takes 10 years.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But whole studios were built off of 3 guys who were high on Mountain Dew and not Mountain Dew because it wasn't a thing.
Yep.
We're high on very many specific things that were made in the 80s.
What?
I was talking about the super in the 80s, the Atari days, where it was just 3 guys.
Oh yeah,
all of the fucking cocaine.
Sure. No,
and the belief that you can make E.T. a game.
I think that the issue here, right, is that when you put the lie to the job security of working for a big company so hard, so many times to everyone around you, it means it's why the fuck? Why shouldn't we just go start an indie studio, make something, keep rolling the dice until we come up Balatro, and then I'll retire and do whatever the fuck we feel like.
There's so many games that are huge now that were indie. One of them it was also made by one guy, which was the Content Warning, I think was one of those.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
The other one was Lethal Company, which is doing amazingly. Among Us wasn't that many people.
Yep.
And that one's a strange one, only because it took a long time for it to catch on.
Sure.
And then there's what was that one? The Vampire Survivors.
Yep.
That one's also they're all really small things, but people are spending a lot of money on those things.
Yeah, it's because the formula that they've got for cranking out AAA stuff is becoming a little stale, and a lot of times
it's less profitable too because you're spending more money to make less money.
Yep. And meanwhile, there's a video on my screen of Stardew Valley, right?
It's another example of one guy.
Yeah,
and that took him 10 years or something like that.
But if you do it right, you can really come away with something, and you can at least, if you fail, at least you could be well, we failed on our own terms.
Yes.
We didn't fail because somebody up high was we need more bonuses. Fire 30 people right now.
And then the most random YouTuber is going to play it 3 years later, and it sells like gangbusters.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird the way the gaming world works now.
So yeah, it sucks, and people are unhappy with it. You know what? I'm gonna try. We got about 10-15 minutes. There were a bunch of studio closures / layoffs and stuff that happened this week, as happens all too much nowadays.
Too much.
So we're
set my clock to it.
We're gonna go through some of these. There was a studio called Liquid Swords that was founded by Christopher Sundberg, who used to be the CCO at Avalanche and was one of the primary people for making the Just Cause games.
Oh, okay.
They were developing their own game. They just had to lay a bunch of people off, and the reason for it was because NetEase pulled funding from that studio. It was funded by them, and then they pulled their funding, and they're looking for new funding now. The nice thing about some of these is that sometimes these stories end well, where it takes the head developer like a year to go find a VC firm or a publisher, and then they were able to hire everybody back or hire a bunch of people back on and be like, yeah, we can finish this project. But I mean, at this point, we don't even know what the game was that they were making. We have no information whatsoever.
I forgot they even did that because I remember hearing the news when they made that studio.
Yeah. So, yeah, that happened. Michael, you'll never guess, but unfortunately, I don't want to laugh, but this comes to something we're going to talk about in a minute, but the guys from 1010 Games who made the Funko Fusion game are basically completely laid off their staff because their first release was, quote, a complete commercial and critical failure.
It was, okay. This is one of those few times where I'm trying not to take pleasure from this, but I can't help it.
Yeah. Well,
because that game was so bad that the studio who made it really should just, those people I'm sure are talented on their own, but I think together they were not the people we wanted making games.
Well, it's really hard to say. Like we did that one Scott Pilgrim part.
I hated it so much.
And it was so uncommunicative, and it was like, I love Scott Pilgrim, but I hate this. That it was not a good game.
No.
I don't want people to lose their jobs, but I didn't like that game. And like I could say both of those things. I don't have to pretend like I liked Funko Fusion just because I don't want people to lose their jobs.
It was also, it came and went so fast, which is crazy considering it's a game that had so many licenses attached to it that somebody probably was like, there's no way we can fail. All we have to do is get one of these fandoms to love this game. None of them love this game.
Fucking FNAF in it. You know what reminded me of was that
FNAF, that's true.
The Lego Dimensions,
where
it was like, it's got all your favorites, Ghostbusters, and this other guy, and it was like, the Disney one just has Star Wars, and it's like everyone from Star Wars. You guys have like with Funko over here, it's like we've got Team Fortress 2, we've got Nope, we've got FNAF, we've got Jurassic Park and Scott Pilgrim, and it's like none of these taste good together. Like these do not mix. This is a weird thing.
Well, it was like He-Man and Knight Rider and like Lost or something. This is the weirdest fucking mixtures.
Walking Dead.
Jaws was one of them.
Yep,
I think.
Was very weird. It was very weird.
And the other reason the Lego one failed was because that was the day of the peripherals.
That was when the toys.
So you had to buy like
service.
$20 tiny Lego sets to maybe play the Ghostbusters level.
Yeah,
I think that game, in my opinion, that game would have worked better if it was just the way this game was.
Yeah,
because people like Legos.
Sure. No, yeah. I don't know, but like again, I don't want people to not have a job, but by the same token, it's not going to stop me from saying that game was ass.
Don't play that game is all I'm saying.
So
I know you're curious, but don't fucking do it.
All right. I wonder if we've got enough time for this. This may become a larger conversation, but one of the other things that happened this week was there's this guy called Mark Dara. He used to work at BioWare. He was the head of Anthem.
Oh, okay.
He put out this video called "Your $70 Does Not Buy You Cruelty," and he's basically talking about how like the director on Dragon Age Veilguard has left BioWare and how the game didn't sell well and that whole team is getting dissolved, and his thesis is basically that if you're online and you want to express your displeasure at a video game, you should do so to the company, to the game, to the brand, or at the very least, or at the most, to the first person in the credits, like the executive producer of the game.
Oh, okay.
But you should not be mean to anybody outside of that all the rest of the people involved with the game, you should not be shitty to them on social media. And I watched this and okay, Michael, so my first impression is you should not be shitty to people on social media. I don't think that, but then I'm abnormal. Like,
okay.
RageSelect's social media accounts only post the things that I post on RageSelect. I don't spend a lot of time on social media talking about my views on anything, my day, my anything, right?
Turns out he hates gophers. Nobody knew that.
Yes. So I'm not sure I've been wrestling with this all day, right? If you use your personal social media to talk about a project that like a game that you're working on, but then you also use it to talk about your life or what you believe, should you be... The whole point of social media is people like talking to each other. You're doing this publicly. It's not a private thing. I don't know. My personal inclination on this stuff is like, if you are online and you are involved in a big project or something like that, you shouldn't talk about it. But that's just me. I come from this like kind of Gen X don't talk about it school.
Well, the problem with social media is that it's designed to do the opposite,
right?
Because again, you're very abnormal when it comes to the world of social media, because you have them, but you don't really do anything on them.
Sure,
like you mostly use them to check up on things that other people are doing.
Yeah,
where I'm the opposite. Where I won't stop talking about the last thing I fucking did half the time. Where I'm just like, I just read this new Spider-Man, or I just found out that this batshit insane thing's happening, kind of thing. Like I literally just posted something before I left. I think that was another new announcement involving Spider-Man. And I think I post like 12 things a day, like minimum.
But I guess the question is like, if you're like, I'm curious. Like if you posted about your day job specifically on your same account that you're posting about your Spider-Man thing, do you feel then that if somebody was dissatisfied with the things that your company that you work for were doing, would they then be justified in targeting you?
So that's the tricky thing, because that has happened to people in the past. In fact, I was warned about that exact thing at one point.
Yeah.
When I first started my job, somebody was like, or not this job, it was another job I had where somebody was like, somebody found somebody on LinkedIn and just was fucking with them the whole time because they had figured out where they were. And so, because that does happen, there's also instances of very dangerous times of that sort of thing happening.
Yeah.
But when it comes to this specifically, the problem with it is depending on what the project is, if that makes sense.
Sure.
Because there's a lot of people who love working on things and love being like, hey, I worked on this thing. I made the shadows or something in this one level, or I made this specific character, and I love this thing. Like, I know plenty of people who have worked on games. I know one guy, he made an actual armor in Halo, and he's like loves talking about it. And I'm very proud of him. I'm very proud that he's able to talk about that. But the fact is that if somebody hates that specific thing, these people thrive on the invites. It's kind of like the way they're like vampires, basically.
Sure.
The second they're like, hey, I'm going to talk about this, they see it as an invite to come in to fuck with them.
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the reasons why it's easier to just not. Like, if you don't want to get that, just don't mention it when you're talking about it.
Sure.
But the problem is the problem with the way gaming works and the way a lot of the entertainment things work is word of mouth gets you up front too, so they can see that hey, I'm a team player. I like talking about this thing. Yeah. Please hire me, kind of thing.
I want to be really clear that like I'm not like I went to the comments under this guy's video that were like disgruntled Veilguard people from the internet, and I was like, this is all garbage and I hate it. Like, I do not want people to be hammering on people. The problem I think that I'm seeing is that
I think that's the one thing we haven't really talked about was the people themselves who are doing it.
Yeah.
Because well, actually it is. But the thing that he's talking about is the fact that he's like, you guys should just stop being the worst human beings imaginable.
Sure.
Because you don't like something.
Yeah.
Because there's one thing to be like, hey, I made this thing, I'm super proud of it. And somebody goes, I didn't really like that thing. I think it could have had some work. It could have done this. It could have done that. Like actual, like, normal criticisms.
Yeah.
Or even just somebody saying, I thought it sucked by itself. But most of the things that he's talking about is when somebody goes, I thought it sucked. I think you should die. I think your dog should die. I think your car should die. Your grandma should die. Your grandma should get hit by your car that died. It's like, what the fuck is wrong with you people?
Yeah. No. I agree. I agree. Like it's got me. I just wanted to bring it up because the thing is that I'm not entirely sure how to square this circle because again, I have decided just no.
Yes.
Like my solution to this was just like, well, do you want to use your social media for your personal life or for RageSelect? And I'm like, neither.
Yeah.
That was my answer.
All that happened was you just decided not to play the game, basically. Like they're like, here's the game. You're like, that's cool, but I don't want to play the game.
I'm gonna go outside and smoke cigarettes. You guys can play whatever you want to in here.
Like every now and then, it's like a mobile game where every now and then, like, I log in real quick to maybe get something real quick. Sure. But I'm never gonna use it, kind of thing. Whereas, like, social media is such a double-edged sword because social media, streaming and all that stuff wouldn't, like, the games like Lethal Company, Among Us, all these other things wouldn't have worked out without some of these crazy people be getting rabid about stuff. Like, especially FNAF is a good example. Like,
yeah.
Like FNAF would not have gotten as rabid as it did without somebody like Markiplier, who had people who already yelled at him to begin with.
Sure.
To be like, I like when you yelled at by these things, and I love, so now I'm doing that. And then same with game theories, all that shit. And so, but the problem is that a lot of these people aren't just... Here's the main reason why it's an issue nowadays instead of when the internet first started. Because back then, people knew the difference between... Not right and wrong, because that doesn't make any sense. People knew the difference between not knowing somebody and knowing somebody. And by that, because when you know somebody well, you're willing to be like, hey, I thought that thing stuck.
Right.
I think that thing really sucked. And you're like, but I'm your friend, so I'm going to give you the harsh truth that I think.
Sure.
Like, if I feel like it, and I know you're going to take it well because you're my friend.
Yeah.
Instead of going up to, like, your neighbor going, hey, I think you suck ass and you should die, kind of thing.
Right.
Like, because people have these weird parasocial relationships.
Yeah.
But the difference is, back in the day, parasocial relationships made sense because there were people listening to podcasts going, I know that guy.
Right.
Kind of thing. But nowadays, it's just like, I know everyone on the internet. They're all my best friends or they're all my worst enemies.
Yeah.
Like, there's no in-betweens anymore. There's no just, like, you're just some random guy. I'm just going to tell you what I think really quick, because that's how I am with people. I'm like, I disagree with what you're saying, but I'm just going to, like, but I'm not going to tell you should go fuck yourself.
Right.
Kind of thing. Where sometimes I'll just say, the sky is blue, and somebody will be like, you don't know what the sky did to me. I'm like, I don't understand what's happening.
Yeah.
Because nobody knows the difference anymore.
So part of this video was also about, like, how you don't know, like, how you have no idea, like, you know that this person was, like, the character designer, but you have no idea what that entailed. Like, you have no idea what was happening behind the scenes because people don't talk about that stuff all the time. And I'm really sympathetic for that, because I've actually found I've had disagreements with people over the years where it's like, it becomes clear that it's like, oh, you just made up how you think this works, but I actually know how this works. And there are all these reasons why the thing you're dissatisfied about happened, but you don't know them. And frankly, it's not your fucking business, because it shouldn't be up to me to talk about every single thing that happens in order to explain why you're mad. I guess the only thing that I wanted to say was that, like, I generally agree with this, but I do think that there's one additional thing that
there's a caveat to it.
I think there's one thing that I would like to see more of. I would like to see communities that are aggrieved about the direction of video games or whatever. I would like to see them not fuck with regular ass people, but I would also like to see corporations and brands address the concerns, because I think a lot of times the reason that people target individual developers is because there's no upside to tweeting at EA. Right, EA is not listening or coming out with a statement talking about how, like, you know, we've heard your feedback and we've created a blah blah blah. Not even the bullshit. It's just, you know, you're like, fucking, when can we get a patch to fix this game? And they're just like, hey everybody, the new microtransactions are out on Friday. Spend $20 on the fucking Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And you're like, that's not what I asked, bitch.
Yeah,
like,
because the games have project managers. And those people will have those specific. Or not just project managers, they have, like, literal, like, community managers and stuff like that. Like, it's their job to talk to those specific people. Yeah. So that's why it's easier to yell at them directly, which is why a lot of those people are quitting their jobs nowadays, because people can't even do it anymore.
I mean, fucking nightmare.
I forgot which game where they went through, like, 3 or 4 of them.
It's a nightmare.
I think it was Avengers. It was Marvel's Avengers. It was real bad.
Of course. Every time I read about, like, you know, what the Destiny subreddit looks like, and I'm just like, oh God, fuck off. No. Like, my thing, I don't think anybody's anybody listening to this is one of those folks, and if you are, I really recommend that you just put the social media down and just like, I'm not saying
put the cookie down.
I'm not saying touch grass because it's real cold outside right now, but like, just go watch the Gorge. Go do something else.
Yeah, go just
play a video game you enjoy.
Yeah, don't think about it. Like, don't watch a movie and think about the weird ideas that you have about who should be in movies and who shouldn't be in movies types of things. Just enjoy things again. Don't because that's having access to all the information in the world has fried your brain.
It's not good. It's not a good thing. It's not a good thing.
It's really not.
Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say, because I do think, like, I'd like for people to quit yelling at each other as hard as they can and saying they should die. But then by the same token, I think that we are living in this time where we've seen a lot of big video game companies just like ignore all criticism and steamroll forward, even though the entire gamer fan base is like, we don't want that. Yeah. We don't want that. And they're just like, here's more. Open your mouth. Here's more. And we're like, no, please stop. I don't want that anymore. Nope. So, and with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, there's more news. There's always more news. There's always more news. Stick around, everybody. And we're back. And before we left, Michael, we were talking about invading people's personal spaces.
Yes.
Grasshopper Manufacturer had to put out a statement this week. You thought Twitter was bad, basically saying, do not come to our studio. Do not show up in person at our studio. We are not prepared to handle unannounced guests who just show up at the address to our studio. And I was like, what even is Suda51 working on that people would show? Did they just want to come and say how awesome Shadows of the Damned Hell Remastered was? Like,
that's the thing, is people will just go to places if they really like something. Yeah. No matter if they're working on something. I did that. I actually did do that. So did do this exact thing once.
Oh yeah,
a very long time ago.
Yeah.
I was visiting Austin because I didn't live here at the time, because I was still living in Del Rio at this point. Because my cousin moved to Austin. He used to live near off of 183. He was going to Le Cordon Bleu.
Okay.
Right next to Le Cordon Bleu was the Midway studio when it was still here.
Oh, okay.
And so my cousin was like, I have an idea. Let's go to the Midway studio. And I'm like, I don't think we should do that. He's like, it'll be great. And so we went to the Midway studio. At this point, they were working on like the sequel to Area 51.
Right.
Because it was that specific studio. And we get in there, and the lady's just like at the front desk is just like, you shouldn't be here.
Can I help you?
Like, why? Who are you people? What are you doing here?
Is Ed Boon here?
And they're just like, my cousin's like, can we go look in the back? And they're like, no. What's wrong with you people? And I actually like look because there's a clear door, so you could actually kind of see. Yeah. And they were shooting at each other with like these like Nerf guns, essentially. Like, you could see people fucking around in the back, and I was just like, that does look kind of fun. And they didn't even like try to say that, like, well, you can have these, like, no, just get the fuck out of here.
Right.
Like, what are you doing here?
This is a business. Sir, this is a Wendy's. Yeah. Get the fuck out of here.
They're like, you shouldn't be here. You can't just willy-nilly walk into a game studio and expect somebody to give you a tour of the place. Yeah. I'm like, okay, that's fair.
Apparently they had, on their YouTube channel, they had a thing called the Dev Room, where it was like behind the scenes kind of talking to developers, and they said they canceled the recent one because the episode could, quote, inadvertently end up encouraging even more people to suddenly show up at the studio. I'm just trying to be like, what? I mean, Suda51, they're working on, they got the crossover game with Swery, but like, and I know they're working on something, but they haven't announced shit.
No.
Like, so.
I think people just want to be like, I want to see where my games are made.
Right.
And that's it. And because that happened when Rooster Teeth was here, and they used to be off of South Austin or something, because everybody used to know the address of the original Rooster Teeth, not original, but one of the original Rooster Teeth studios. I almost went in there, in curiosity, until I was listening to one of their podcasts where they're like, "Don't fucking come here,
don't come here,"
because it's the exact same thing. It's like we got random ass people showing up, expecting me or Gavin or some shit to be like, "Let me show you around." They're like, "No, get the fuck out of here."
This is a business. Yeah, so don't go. We also have, I should have put this one close to the other story. So GameStop is selling the crazy guy that owns GameStop, the pets.com or the Chewy guy.
Oh, I heard about this.
That invested in it, basically said that like they've been closing a bunch of locations. This guy just went on to Twitter and he was like, hey, does anybody want to buy all of the GameStop locations in Canada? And then it's called Micromania in France. And his tweet was, high taxes, liberalism, socialism, progressivism, wokeness, and DEI included at no additional cost if you buy today. It's like,
what?
The
fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
See, I heard about it, but I didn't know he made that statement.
Yeah. Ryan Cohen, ladies and gentlemen. I'm like, well, first off, I don't know. Anyway, it's just
first off, GameStop's not doing amazingly to begin with.
No, yeah.
Secondly, what?
The full tweet was email mna@gamestop.com if you're interested in buying GameStop Canada or Micromania France. High taxes, liberalism, socialism, progressivism, wokeness, and DI included no additional cost if you buy today. And it's like, I hate that, like, this should be a press release. This should be somebody coming out to a podium going, today we're announcing that we're putting all the locations of GameStop in Canada and Micromania in France up.
A normal human being would have an announcment about
information should be directed to this email address. We are taking bids. It's a great company. We hope that we'll get a lot of interest in it. Video games are the future. We love them so much. We just have to downsize a little bit. But it's just like fucking going on Twitter talking about DEI, and then you're like, buy GameStop, I guess. And so,
yeah, you want to own GameStop in France? Email me. It's like, I'm sorry, what?
What the fuck?
I give you $3 for it because I feel like you're willing to give it up for that much because you're a psychopath.
Yeah. So
what the absolute fuck?
That happened because we live in hell.
I don't even know what to say outside of that.
Speaking of bad deals for everybody, Nintendo has made some updates to some of their rewards programs. So first, they came out this week and announced that, you know, the Nintendo vouchers program.
Yeah.
So you spend $70, you get 2 vouchers, and you can just cash them in for first-party Nintendo games. So it's basically buy one, get one free kind of thing. You just have to buy it in advance. Yeah. None of those vouchers will work on the Switch 2. So if you have a voucher and the Switch 2 comes out, you can't use those vouchers on any Switch 2 games. The end.
Okay.
Which makes a certain amount of sense when they launched the thing. Like,
well, those vouchers used to be for very specific games, weren't they?
Yeah, they were for a few first-party Nintendo games.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't use for anything third-party. But I think that, you know, since they brought that program in, I think most of the first party Nintendo games have been eligible. So the idea being that, like, if the new Switch launches with a Mario Kart and a Mario game, and you had one of these the vouchers, you could just be like, okay, give me those games when I get the system.
Yeah.
But they want you to buy them all for full price because Nintendo likes money. They are a business. They're not your friends.
They've never been your friends. In fact, they'll probably sue you for trying to use these vouchers because fuck you.
Yep. The other thing they're doing is they are shutting down the gold points program that they have. Right now, whenever you buy a Nintendo game, you get like 5% of the purchase price in basically these coins, and you can then cash them in for credit on another game.
It's like a coin a cent or something like that.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
It's a decent little way to just like get a little extra, knock down the prices here and there.
Yeah,
like,
I've got some DLC free that way.
Yeah. But yep, they're cutting it off March 24th, and there's some
that's soon
caveats here, like because you can get points on retail games, so for a year you'll still be able to like redeem points for, like, if you buy a retail copy that has that. Yeah.
Okay. They did it for Donkey Kong.
If you have any points, you can still use them for a time.
Okay.
But again, the other thing seems to be that, like, when Nintendo launches the Switch 2, most of these programs came out after the launch of the Switch.
Yes.
So when they launched the Switch 2, they want basically maximum profit to start with. So all this shit's getting shut down. It'll probably all come back at a certain point once they've gotten the initial huge.
Or they'll have like a new version or something.
Oh, we're bringing back the gold points program.
The Yoshi cookies now or some shit.
Yep.
Like just some weird new version of it.
For
every 3 games you get a Yoshi cookie or something like that.
It's super gold points now.
Yeah.
It's gold points 64.
They're the Chris Pratt gold coins now.
EX Ultra. Yep. Chris Pratt coins. Yeah. Speaking of way too much money to spend on a video game, that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles came out for Call of Duty. Michael, are you going to play Call of Duty now that the Ninja Turtles are in it?
No.
Okay.
Not until they had Goku. That's what happened. That's what happened with Fortnite.
I wouldn't be surprised if they had Goku any day now. But the thing is that each one of the Ninja Turtles must be purchased separately, and each one of those heroes costs 2,400 COD points. And that amount of COD points will cost you $20 in real money. So to get all 4 Ninja Turtles, it is $80, more than the purchase price of the game. Also, there's Splinter and Shredder and a few other things in the Premium Battle Pass that cost $10.
Oh, geez.
So $90 for the whole Ninja Turtle kit and caboodle.
Damn. Well, I know there was something else I remember that I played that had the same issue, where they're like, we finally came out with these skins. I'm like, great. They're also like the most stupidly expensive thing you'll ever get.
Yep.
And there's for a limited time. Oh, I remember. It was the Street Fighter 6 one.
Oh yeah.
Street Fighter 6 had the Ninja Turtles. Those weren't bundled either, and I think it was around the same amount.
It was per turtle as opposed to all together. I just think that it's I have the same problem with the Ninja Turtles that I have with Cheech and Chong, where, you know, they have this nice little trailer that shows all this like melee stuff, but Call of Duty is a shooting game.
Yeah.
So you're going to be playing as fucking Raphael with a fucking M4, throwing a grenade to get somebody out of cover and blasting them in the face.
It doesn't work the same way, yeah.
So, which I think is real dumb. I do like the little Krang weapon skins.
Yeah.
That's about as much as I would tolerate.
There's also like a pizza launcher or something at one point.
Yeah, I think that's just a skin for a pistol, to be honest. So yeah, what a horrible nightmare. What a horrible nightmare bullshit.
That's just the problem with these a lot of the skins nowadays is that people don't understand that you should be able to. The reason people will buy these is if you make it easy to buy everything.
Yeah.
But if you don't, it just makes people. It doesn't make FOMO doesn't work when it's expensive.
Yeah.
FOMO only works if you're like, hey, this is kind of affordable if I get it, but if I don't get it now, then I'm fucked. Like if it was like $40, a lot of people are willing to spend $40 on something like that.
Sure.
That's what happened with the Fortnite version. Mm-hmm. The Fortnite one has a giant bundle that was like $30-$40 for all 4 of them, and came with everything that they had.
Yeah.
Outside of but you still had the buy Shredder and all those guys. But that was like, but the people they want wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
So once you make FOMO $100, you're like, well, even if I want those guys, I don't want to spend $100 on this bullshit.
It's also, I think this is another instance where like you and I think about video games differently than a lot of other people, where it's just like, you guys know that you don't have to be the Ninja Turtles, right? You can just play it with the existing skins from Call of Duty. You don't have to do that. In fact, it's a first-person game. You're not going to be seeing yourself as a Ninja Turtle.
That's the worst part about this. Is like, because at least with Fortnite, it's a third-person game. You can see your character.
Yep.
I've spent dumb amounts of money on these things. I almost bought the Iron Man thing recently, but I was like, I don't need another Iron Man.
Yep.
I barely use the Iron Man I have now, kind of thing. So it's just like, I buy the ones that I want in that game because I can see myself being Cyclops and all these things.
Yeah.
But when you do that, all you see is like fucking Raphael's hands,
right?
And that's it.
Yep.
And then you die, and you'll see yourself die. That's all you'll fucking see.
Or I guess there's some like emotes and stuff that you see from third person.
Even
but like,
then, though, that's like a 3-second thing at most.
Yep.
Like, and maybe you'll get shot. Like, it's actually funnier to get killed in a Call of Duty game by them instead, because you at least see them,
right?
Because you're like, is that fucking Mikey with a sniper rifle? And your head's gone, and then it's the funniest goddamn thing in the world.
Yeah.
But when it comes to you doing it, it's not as interesting.
Also, Ninja Turtles have bigger heads than normal people, right? Easier to snipe. Do they have hitboxes right in the middle, or
that would
like,
be really funny.
If you hit them in the side, does it?
That is the problem I've always had with the new version of FOMO. It was the reason when the Overwatch came out, they're like, you can buy these skins, but they're also like $30-$40. I'm like, I don't even see myself in these outfits.
Yep.
And that's why the outfits work for Marvel Rivals, because you can see it is a third person, so you can see your fucking Spider-Man outfit or your Punisher outfit, or like, you know, the fat ass ones that you end up buying.
Sure.
Like, you're seeing these things.
Yeah.
But if you were in a third person game and they had that exact same look, it wouldn't be nearly as satisfying.
Absolutely.
So yeah, this is bad game to do this with, is all I'm saying.
Well, you know, all of the online games, or like, well, Call of Duty and some of the other ones have gotten really greedy Overwatch has gotten really greedy too of this idea of just like, well, we could just charge these guys like a shitload of money and these dumb assholes will pay it. And it's like, you're not wrong, actually. Like, there's some dumb assholes who don't care. They're like, $100 for Ninja Turtles, fucking put it in my, shut up and take my money.
Yeah,
but
those whales, man, they're everywhere.
Yep, but I don't know.
Sometimes the whales offset the smart ones.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of dumb decisions, speaking of stuff that Microsoft has done, Phil Spencer was on an interview last week with Xbox Era, where he basically announced the end of the console wars. Is kind of how this is being dubbed. But here's a quote: "I would love to make all of the money for all the games that we ship. Right? Like, obviously, we make more money on our own platform. It's one of the reasons that investing in our own platform is important. But there are people, whether it's their libraries on PlayStation or Nintendo, whether it's they like the controller better, they just like the games that are there. I'm not trying to move them all over to Xbox anymore." So
oh my God,
is like
the war is over, Jeff.
Specifically out loud, and like, you know,
we lost millions.
We go to the console wars. Nintendo hasn't been fighting that war for a long time. They're like, here's an iPad with some controllers glued on. We don't give a fuck. Whatever. Like, buy it, moms.
Yeah. PlayStation has just been slaughtering people for a few years now.
Yep.
And Xbox just gave up.
Yep.
That's fascinating.
Yep.
But now the console wars are done, so I think it's just the wars against the PC users at this point.
Maybe, I don't know. Sony's putting everything on the PC. Microsoft's putting everything on the PC. All we got left is I'm waiting for Mario Kart to come to the PC.
That's true. Now it's not really a war so much as it's Mario versus the world.
Right.
And even then, it's not really a war. Mario's just hanging out there.
Yeah, I mean, but like, you know, if you bought a Nintendo Switch and a nice PC, you're set, kind of.
Pretty much.
As long as you want to wait. Like,
everything's mostly connected. The only things that will never connect is that Nintendo refuses to let other people use their characters in any shape, way, or form.
Sure.
My favorite example is the Metroid thing that apparently happened with the Fortnite thing.
What's that?
So rumor has it that Fortnite had or not Fortnite, because it makes it sound like Fortnite's a person. Epic Games had approached Nintendo to be like, hey, we want to add Samus to Fortnite.
Okay.
And they're like that's a great idea. And they're like, but the only thing is we want her to only work on the Switch version of Fortnite. And they're like,
okay,
no, we don't even know how we would be able to do that because like that means no one else would be able to see that character. They're like, well, then the answer is fucking no. Go fuck off.
Yep.
Like, apparently that is the rumor that why there's never been a Nintendo character on Fortnite.
That makes sense.
Because they only want somehow that skin to only work if you're playing on a Switch.
Hey, you know what? If you play Bayonetta on the Switch, you could dress up like fucking Princess Peach and Samus, and you can't do that on the PlayStation version. So, you know. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this works. It'll be interesting to see how this works, because apparently Microsoft has been making better inroads specifically in people don't understand that the Xbox is only really relevant in America.
It really has only been relevant
like in Asia and in Europe, those are PlayStation and Nintendo places. Like,
oh yeah, it's laughable how much the Xbox doesn't do well outside of America.
Yeah.
Like, I remember the only reason the Xbox Series X sold originally in Japan was because no one could find a PS5.
Right.
And they're like, I need something. I don't care what it is now.
Yeah.
So they did that, and it's the only reason there was an uptick. The second PS5's evened out, that fucking thing dropped like a rock.
Yep. So at least at this point they could be like, well, okay, you could play Indiana Jones. Like, just give us the money for Indiana Jones. We just want the money for Indiana Jones, okay? Like, do you want to play it on the PlayStation? Cool. Just give us that money. It'll be fine.
It's fucking crazy.
So, yeah. Well, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It'll be interesting to see. I mean, the Xbox's, like, the Xbox's sales numbers have always been not great. But it'll be interesting to see if they just take a total nosedive. Let's see. We also got in another Phil Spencer interview. Oh, no, wait, this is from the same one. Phil Spencer was talking about video games, and this is one of those really silly stories, and mentioned Everwild, which is Rare's game that was announced in like 20 2019 or something
very long
like
time
that.
ago. I forgot. That's a word I haven't heard in a long time.
Yeah, so he was talking about the different games that they're making. He said, quote, yeah, State of Decay is just one of those franchises I love back from the original one, so that one stays on the board. I do think that the work Double Fine's doing and how Tim Schafer's kind of solicits feedback from the team. And another one I'll say, because I was recently out at Rare, it's nice to see the team with Everwild and the progress they're making. I also thought it was really interesting that he mentioned Tim Schafer, because Double Fine has just been gone.
Yeah.
They got bought by Microsoft, and now they're just gone.
They
like
haven't touched anything since Psychonauts 2 came out.
Yep, Double Fine is they were more prolific before they got bought. Like
they used to be like on the forefront of not like weird things, but they used to just be up front, and you're like, what is Tim Schafer up to?
Right.
Like people used to be really interested in what Double Fine was up to.
Yeah, you'd see Stacking or The Cave or something, like some weird off
very
the wall
interesting stuff that came out of that series. That place.
Yeah, but apparently they're still working on Everwild. 2019, Xbox 2019.
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, still out there. Let's see. We also got some evidence that we might be seeing another Tony Hawk game in the near future.
Okay.
So this was on the Breakfast Club podcast. A skater named Tashawn Jones was talking about skating, and you know what happens when they just put non-video game people out there?
Yeah.
And he was just like, quote, I'm in a Tony Hawk game that's coming out, and that's cool. They got a new one they're remastering, so that's about to come out. I was in the last one. And everybody was like, God. Fuck.
There's always that one fucking guy who they add it's a something, and he just refuses to shut up about it.
Norman Reedus is out there just like, yeah, man, I just got done with Death Stranding 2 last week. I don't know what.
Yeah.
Why is everybody looking at me like that?
Why did that guy draw like you? Why did you look like you saw a ghost, bro?
Right. So yeah,
I love that when this happens. It makes me so happy when this happens because they generally don't understand what they've done.
So you know, the most obvious thing would be Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3 and 4, because they did the 1 and 2 remaster, and doing a 3 and 4 remaster. But because of the verbiage and because of how vague it was, it doesn't mean that it has to be 3 and 4.
True.
It could be something else.
Could be Underground.
Yep.
Any of those games.
Maybe
it's that fucking motion control one.
Oh, the ride? Oh God,
that would be hysterical.
Oh my God.
Now you can use the switch pad on it.
Yeah, I don't know. Tony Hawk Underground was well received, right?
Yeah, the original Undergrounds are very the original Undergrounds are very well received the same way. Also because their soundtracks were also really good.
Okay. So yeah, I mean, there's also the possibility that he doesn't know that this is like a brand new game, and he just doesn't know because he's talking about stuff he's not supposed to talk about.
Yeah. He did not read the fine print of his probably NDA that he had.
But there's probably some kind of Tony Hawk thing coming in the future. I'm putting my money on 3 and 4 remaster because we've already had a lot of rumors that was happening, and then it got like shut down and then probably just got revamped.
I'll put my money in the out of left field one. He's gonna be in Call of Duty. Fuck it.
They brought him out there to do a bunch of stuff. They're like, yeah, we're making a Tony Hawk game.
For his emotes.
Actually, these are just Michelangelo emotes for the Ninja Turtles.
That would have been so funny.
So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see at some point. Let's see. We also got in the wild speculation department.
Okay.
So nobody knows that Grand Theft Auto 6 is coming out, but they're starting to like Pepe Sylvia it together.
Oh, okay.
So it's been said that Grand Theft Auto 6 should be coming out in the fall, right? The fall ends around October.
Yeah.
Last week at the Sony State of Play, Borderlands 4 announced that they had a release date in September.
I see where this is going.
That is a Take-Two game. That's a Take-Two published game.
Yeah.
You probably wouldn't put Borderlands 4 out after Grand Theft Auto.
And you wouldn't have it fight each other either.
And you wouldn't put them up as Pokemon to fight each other unless somebody hates Randy Pitchford as much as I hate Randy Pitchford, which...
My girlfriend was very caught off guard when Randy Pitchford popped up on the screen.
Oh, the State of Play.
I went, fuck that guy. And she's like, oh my God, what did he do? I'm like, I don't have time to tell you all the horrible things that man has done.
He made medieval times a less special place for me.
He's a terrible person is all I'm saying.
So, yeah, if Borderlands 4 comes out in September, then the logical thing is you wouldn't put Grand Theft Auto out, you would want Grand Theft Auto to have time to. You wouldn't want to put it out in November to fight Pokemons with all the like final stuff that's coming out right before Christmas.
Yeah.
You put it out in October, that makes a lot of fucking sense unless it gets delayed out of the year entirely. So
it makes the most sense, but we've been surprised before by games coming out in like weird places. Like Indiana Jones came out in what, December?
Yeah, that was so like weird. That game should have come out. This is what Marvel Midnight Suns bullshit.
Midnight
where it's like
Suns had the same issue.
Fucking Indiana Jones was great. Should have come out earlier, man. It would have been like Game of the Year contender. Given what we had, I don't know.
I feel like not enough people are talking about that game, and I think it's purely because it's only on Xbox right now.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's on PC.
Yeah, but I still feel like the people aren't talking about it the same way.
No, I agree. I got around to playing it in December, and I was just like, holy shit, I spent all of 2024 looking for this game. Like, big produced, open world, lots of systems, lots of fun, side quests, upgrades, good voice acting. I'm like, oh shit, here it is. Like, not to say that there weren't good games in 2024, but like, this is the AAA bullshit that I was looking for, and it finally happened at the very end of the year.
It was the weirdest fucking time to do that in.
Yeah. So anyway, clear off your October. Get ready for Grand Theft Auto. Also, there's a question. This was a very strange article. I didn't entirely understand every single thing about it. There is a website called Digiday that kind of built this article talking about how Rockstar has bought a few groups, has licensed / purchased a few groups that made mods for Grand Theft Auto 5.
Interesting.
And one of the, I think one of those mods was running like was a mod that lets you run like an RP server. You know how they have, it's so fucking weird to me.
The role-playing things.
Yeah, how like people are like, I'm a cop on this server. I'm going to pull over people that are speeding. And then you got to pull over because we're all role-playing here. And,
Yeah.
And the idea here is that these teams are developing a piece of Grand Theft Auto 6 that will allow people to basically inject their own content into GTA 6, and in a lot of ways it's being like the headline here is like Roblox style. Like you could like the GTA 6 is the platform, but you'll actually be able to like upload or build content and then publish it online within that. Then people in Grand Theft Auto Online will be able to interact with. Which I'm like, when I read that, I was like, oh wow, that's a great idea for Grand Theft, because Grand Theft Auto Online is already so popular that like taking all of the mod stuff from GTA Online and then canonizing it so you can sell people stuff or have like official channels to do stuff through is like a really good idea. It's a really good idea for GTA 6.
It's a really good idea. The hard part is moderating it.
Yep.
Because one of the reasons, or the reasons it works in Roblox, and I'm using quoting fingers when I say it works,
right,
is because the moderation in Roblox, when people come out with these things, is not very strict.
Absolutely not.
You'll get the weirdest possible shit you could possibly find in those games.
Yep.
Because of it.
Yep. But, we also are living in this world, Michael, where we have had one trailer for Grand Theft Auto 6 that's coming out in October. I'm like, where the fuck is trailer number 2, you guys?
No,
like,
I was hoping it would show up in State of Play, but it did not.
Yeah, 2023, end of 2023, one trailer.
Yep.
And it's like...
And it blew everyone's minds at the time.
Yep. Come on, more. Let's see. And then finally, when it comes to Grand Theft Auto, there was a question that came up about whether Grand Theft Auto Online would continue to be supported once Grand Theft Auto 6 launched. And Strauss-Zelnick basically said, well, here's the quote. I'm going to speak theoretically only because I'm not going to talk about a particular project when an announcement has been made. But generally speaking, we support our properties when the consumers are involved with those titles. And then specifically went on to talk about how NBA 2K Online launched in China like in 2012 and NBA 2K Online 2 in 2017. And they're both still supported with like big active user bases, and that's all well and good, but can I just say Red Dead Redemption 2?
So here's the translation of that quote.
Yeah.
We only support them if you give us lots of money while we're doing it.
Right.
Because that's what happened in Red Dead Redemption Online, is nobody was giving them money.
Yep. So Yeah, I mean,
holy shit. There's no reason to give him money because they didn't have anything going on in that one.
The other thing that
one was just thrown out.
Comes out is that like we don't even know if Grand Theft Auto 6 is going to have Grand Theft Auto Online when it launches.
Nobody knows.
Like GTA Online was like a year after that originally launched. GTA 5 originally launched.
It was a few months originally, but it was more like a beta.
Yeah,
and then because I remember getting into that beta and it was like everything was on fire.
There wasn't much to do early on.
Yeah, because it was like you could only do like a few things, and then the game would and then you would constantly crash, and it was constant issues. But it didn't really get going until like a year later.
Yeah,
and even then, like by then I stopped caring, but the rest of the world just fucking caught up and just annihilated that thing.
Yeah, so I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens. Let's see. Speaking of games with the number 6 in the title that people are rabid about, the Elder Scrolls Online 6. This is some conjecture on conjecture plus conjecture.
The fuck is happening?
Okay, so Bethesda, I didn't know this until I read it today. Bethesda has had a thing for a while where they have this Make-A-Wish program where people can create a character in their games.
Okay.
They did one of these for Starfield, and then somebody made a character. That character was in Starfield. They have announced that they are doing one for Elder Scrolls 6. This information has now been taken as like, well, if they're far enough in development that you can make a character, like 2 years after Starfield did their Make-A-Wish, that game came out. So if they're doing Elder Scrolls 6 Make-A-Wish right now, then maybe 2 years from now, Elder Scrolls 6 will come out, which is some real like fucking starved for attention bullshit right here.
This is funny to me because it's one of the few times where somebody did the Half-Life 3 is confirmed type idea of stretching.
Yep.
But there's some math to it.
Yep.
If that makes a precedence to it. But at the same time, this is a psychotic thing to think about.
Yep.
These dying kids are going to be able to make characters. I can't wait for my game to come out.
It was a silent auction, I think, to benefit charity, to benefit the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Still, though.
Yeah, no. So, yeah. But then some people pointed out that Starfield came out 2 years after they did their Make-A-Wish thing, but that was delayed by a year.
Yeah.
So technically, this could mean that Elder Scrolls 6 comes out in 2025. This is or 2026.
This was announced so
such
long
bullshit.
ago.
Such bullshit. This is why you don't do it. Like, or at least make a statement.
Yeah.
You got like, if you don't want people acting like fucking crazy Charlie from Pepe Sylvia, like, then you have to tell people something. Otherwise, the internet will just implode in on itself like a fucking singularity and come up with the like, did you see? Because do you remember when they put out that Persona thing and it had all the characters?
Oh,
and
yeah.
there was green paint, and they were like, oh, the next Persona is going to be using green as a color. And everyone was like, you guys are fucking crazy. And they were like, nope, we did that on purpose. Yes, so we are using green as like the main color scheme in the next Persona game. And it was like, okay.
There were some games. It's been a while since studios were willing to let that happen.
Yeah.
Persona, I think, was one of the last ones I can think of. But Hideo Kojima used to be the fucking king of that shit.
Sure. Yeah.
He was the king of the Easter egg hunt.
Let's see. In other news, Rainbow Six Siege X is coming.
What does that mean?
It means that Ubisoft is about to make a titanic mistake. Okay, so March 13th, they're going to have like a full thing, but basically Rainbow Six is probably starting to get stale and lose some of its fan base to Warzone.
Yeah.
So they're basically reworking it. It's going to have graphical upgrades. It's going to have some new mechanics. It's going to be a new feel to the game. Basically, they're going to revamp Rainbow Six Siege, and it's going to be called Rainbow Six Siege X, and it's going to become more of a live service game. And quote, the biggest transformation in the game's history, unquote.
But Jeff, how extreme would this thing be?
It's got deep and tactical gameplay. I don't.
Can I get a skateboard in it?
Well, I mean, Rainbow Six Siege was one of the places that had fucking Pickle Rick in it.
That's true.
Like they had a Kiryu Kazama with a machine gun skin.
It was kind of an insane time frame. I think it was one of the first ones of those realistic shooters that went all in on the weird costumes.
Yeah. I predict that this will destroy Rainbow Six Siege.
Look, Jeff, people love Duff for its flavor, not because of its alcoholic content. And I believe that Duff alcohol-free will be great for us.
This is the Kobayashi Maru of video game development, where like your game is starting to become less popular, so we're going to totally rework it, and that is probably like 90% of the time just going to piss off the hardcore fans that are still there
every time,
and then they're going to leave and go play Counter-Strike 2 or Warzone or whatever, or you're going to put it out, it's going to be a mess, and then you're going to delist the old version, and you can't play the old version anymore. And then somebody's going to put up a private server that has the old version on it. You're going to DMCA it. You're going to take it down. People are going to complain about the mechanics of the new version. You're going to say, oh, we're working on it. They're going to try to hold their ground for a month. It's not going to work. Then they're going to talk about how, well, we're going to rework some of these to bring back some of the old mechanics. By then it's too late. People are leaving. And then you go out of business and you die alone in the snow.
Yes. You specifically, the person who made this decision. No, yeah, this is a terrible idea. But also, Rainbow Six has not really been what I wanted Rainbow Six to be in a very long time.
Well, sure. Like, you don't want to be Counter-Strike?
I definitely don't want to. I remember back when, the last game that was originally announced that was going to be a single-player game just got canceled unceremoniously. Patriots, yeah, Rainbow Six Patriots, and it was supposed to be this whole thing. I don't even remember what the specific story was, but I remember one of the reasons they canceled it was because the name Patriots had been like in a very weird place at the time.
I thought that the game trailer also had like it was kind of like Rainbow Six Pandemic or whatever it was, a quarantine, where I think that Patriots like had a domestic terror attack as part of the plot of the game, and then like while they were developing it, 9/11 happened, and they were like, never mind.
There was a lot of reasons why they changed the name for it. And originally it was just going to be changed the name, but then they just outright canceled it.
Yep.
And then they're like, Rainbow Six Siege. And that's all it was.
Yep.
And it was just...
No, but they put
was not a fan of it.
Fucking virus Left 4 Dead
That's right.
Aliens game, and like everybody forgot that it even existed. It was just like it came out, and within a month, everybody was like, "Rainbow Six, what now?"
Hell, dude, I would have bought another Rainbow Six Vegas. I'm just that's what they should do.
If you motherfuckers will put out Rainbow Six Vegas 3 and Battlefield Bad Company 3, I will buy both of those. I will also. I'm going to go on record here, controversial, Michael. I will buy Half-Life 3 if it comes out. Okay. I know everybody is like, fuck Half-Life, but I will buy Half-Life 3 just to see what it's like.
Honestly, I want Half-Life 3 to come out just to see what happens sales-wise. Because it would be really funny if like every fucking Gen Z or person just not give a fuck.
That's true. Okay. We got a little bit of time. Fortnite Chapter 6. Season 2, Lawless, got announced. Did you watch the trailer for this?
I did.
There's a rapping pickle in here. It's a fucking catchy ass song, man.
Yeah, and they the pickle is like part of the not catchphrase, but the
Battle Pass.
No, that too, but the tagline.
Oh, okay.
I think it says "deal with it."
Oh, yes.
I think is the tagline.
Yes, and they show we're going back to heist stuff, and there's a point where somebody opens a vault and there are coins with the pickle's face on it.
Yeah.
So basically, it's just like they had to wait for that Pickle Rick shit to cool down a little bit. Now we've got our own rapid pickle in Fortnite.
It's just really funny that like one of the main characters of this season is Midas, and they're just like, why is the guy who can get gold by touching things robbing places? What is he, stupid? Like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
And then also I found out that the Spanish version of this trailer, or the Spanish version of the things, are called like Banditos. It has a different tagline.
Oh, that's cool. I think it would have been better off as Banditos than Lawless.
And his tagline is "It's good to feel bad" or some shit like that. Like
that's great.
Like to me, it's like a much funner one.
Yeah.
But this one's just like is more of like we got to go after the TikTok people.
Yeah.
Kind of name.
Sub-Zero's in there.
Yeah.
It's a weird day when you see Sub-Zero with machine gun shoot people.
Well, apparently there's going to be like an ice thing that he can do.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be one of the weapons. There's going to be Mortal Kombat weapons.
Okay.
This is the rumor. I don't know if it's true or not. But one of them is going to be like the ice gauntlets for for Sub-Zero.
Okay.
And the other one that's that I'm excited for is the Scorpion Spear.
Oh, okay.
Because apparently this is this hasn't been confirmed, but rumor has it that the Scorpion Spear, when you hit people, will have Ed Boon's voice.
Oh, cool. Well, I mean, if you're putting Sub-Zero in your game, you might as well do that palette swap and just fucking get on with it. Like it's done. It's that way for a reason. I'd be surprised if there aren't 4 other ninjas by the time this is done. But
the rumor is that like maybe the edit styles are going to be them, or maybe they'll sell Scorpion as just like as the shop version.
I would say, sell Sub-Zero and Scorpion, and then make the ability to turn them green or purple.
It'd be such a great idea. It would be such an easy way of doing it.
Is it weird that there's this like anime lady with like this like a traffic cone as a witch hat, and all I can think of is VLC. Like every time I see that, I'm just like, ooh, I gotta watch some MKVs.
VLC's the best. Have you heard that there's this thing that I heard about VLC that made me laugh really hard? There was this like convention type thing where you show off softwares and stuff, and VLC spent a bunch of money just to show up to be like, by the way, we're still not selling this thing.
Right. Yeah. No, I heard about that. VLC could have been corpo-ware a long time ago.
Yeah, they could have sold for millions by now.
Let's see. Speaking of selling for millions, Epic Games has announced that they are. Oh no, wait, that's a different story. Speaking of Fortnite, Epic Games has settled a lawsuit with a Fortnite cheater in the most humiliating way possible. So this was somebody that was in a Fortnite competition, and it turns out that when they went back and looked at it, they had somebody else play their character for the qualifying rounds to get in, and then they actually ended up winning the tournament. So Epic took them to court. They sued them. They sued them for all of the money that they won in the tournament, and then they gave all of that to Child's Play, the charity, not Chucky. And they also forced them to put up an apology video on their YouTube channel.
Oh my God.
Which is just text on a screen, but it's basically a mea culpa of them saying like, yes, I cheated. I paid somebody else did my qualifying thing. I'm not allowed to play Fortnite anymore. Don't cheat. It ruins the game for everyone. And they had to put that up as a public thing on their YouTube channel. And
that's my favorite thing I've seen in a while. It's 20 seconds long.
Yep.
And it's so funny. I like the end. It's just like, I won't ever cheat at Fortnite again. I'm like, yeah, you won't, because you fucking legally can't.
Yeah. So, don't fucking cheat in online video games.
Just don't do it.
I think more people should have to come up with an apology. Let's see. Then the other thing that I almost jumped to because I'm so fucking tired is that after years of giving away games for free, Epic has announced that they're still giving away games for free. So
good for them.
Epic confirmed in 2025 they're still going to be giving away the one free game a week on the Epic Game Store on the PC, even though I don't think it's really shown to have pushed much traffic to that, and it has cost them a big chunk of cash. So
that's the craziest thing. I've had a gaming PC this whole time, and I've never once gone over there to grab one of those things.
It's very easy to do. I wish there was something where it was just like, can I auto do this? Can you just like do this for me automatically?
It'd be nice, but the point is to try to get people to come in and be like, oh, maybe I'll buy this thing.
I mean, like
here.
Last year, what did they had like Control was on there, and Midnight Suns was on there, and Dragon Age was on there.
That was one of the reasons Midnight Suns had like such a huge resurgence for a bit.
Yeah,
because people were getting it for free. Going, wait a second, this game was good. Why did no one tell me about this?
Yep,
it's like we all tried, motherfucker. we all tried.
Let's see, another good free game news. This is a nice little story. The Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 community had a thing where there was a guy that basically came out. He was like, hey, when I was poor, I didn't have this friend of mine bought me games, and now like I'm doing pretty good, and I want to help other people out. I got 10 keys for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. If you can't afford it and you want it, let me know. And people came into the comments, and he was like, there you go. But he gave all 10 away, and then somebody else in the comments was like, hey guys, looks like there's still some more people who want keys. Let's see what we can do. And so they ended up spending about $1,500 on keys for Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and just giving them to people who wanted them.
That makes me so happy.
Yeah. Sometimes the internet does nice stuff. Also, those keys probably helped because Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is up to 2 million copies sold in 2 weeks.
That is incredible because we were talking about this not that long ago. We're like, how is this game going to do? A game that is aggressively not hand-holdy kind of thing. In fact, my boss just bought the game too, actually. I was just talking to him about it today, and he was having some trouble already.
Yep. It's funny. I described the game to my dad, and my dad was like, "Well, is there any way that I can like?" I was telling him, I was like, I started the game, and for like 2 or 3 hours, I was just like trying not to starve to death, trying not to get killed every time I went up against something. But now I got a character that works pretty well. And he was like, "Well, can you play the game without doing that first 2 hours of almost dying?" And I was like, no, you can't. Also, please don't play this game, Dad. He plays like Civilization and like fucking Railroad Tycoon, and I'm like, do not play this game.
Don't do it.
But 2 million copies in 2 weeks. That's great. I think they made a really good game. I don't agree with the politics of the fucking guy, but the game itself is fun to play.
Yeah.
So I'm glad to see that it's working out.
I'm happy-ish for it.
Yep. And then a bunch of more Part 2 games. Stalker 2 finally got a bunch of updates where it is in a much more stable position or state than it was at launch. They've been getting a lot of updates, but the latest one aggressively fixed the A-Life system.
Oh, yeah.
Like spawns people where you were just getting weird people spawning out of nowhere. Just like there was one video I saw of a guy in like a house and enemy soldiers just kept like popping into existence all around him. But apparently it is in a much better situation than it was when it launched.
Well, that's good.
Fewer bugs, more optimized. I think I'm going to wait for them to just get all the way to the end before I try it. Also, I'm 160 fucking hours into Kingdom Come 2. I don't need another mammoth game. I need some fucking some jalapeno poppers and mozzarella sticks. I don't need another 1,200 course meal.
No.
So
that's the tricky thing about gaming.
Yep. In other Part 2 news, Helldivers 2 has a giant black hole that is apparently devouring the entire galaxy. Apparently, the Helldivers found this black hole that the Illuminate are using that destroyed one of the planets that people have been working on really hard. And now it's basically heading for Super Earth. And so if the Illuminate, you have to keep busting out the Illuminate's like dark matter facilities in order to slow it down, because the more that they get, the faster it goes.
Oh my God.
The more planets it will destroy in its path. In fact, there's like a projected like track that shows a bunch of planets that will go through on its way to Super Earth.
That's crazy.
And it's almost the 1 year anniversary of Helldivers 2, so it's like
that's true.
It's an interesting kind of
I think it is the 1 year anniversary actually, because my Facebook memories are like from when I was still heavily playing it.
It's interesting because whenever I read these, I read about all of these events that have happened over the course of the last like 6 months in Helldivers 2, and how actually they all do fit together into a story from the outside. I feel like it can sometimes just kind of look like random bullshit, but
yeah, that's the crazy thing about it. And I'm happy for everyone who's like been a part of it the entire way through, because they talk about it the way like veterans talk about shit, and it's really funny to read the way people talk about the game.
Yep. And last but certainly not least, I don't know, we'll end on a little bit of a bummer here. Or this is a weird one. So NVIDIA in the latest 50 series cards does not have the hardware or support or driver support to render PhysX things.
Interesting.
So PhysX was used in a number of games. It was mostly for like particle effects and then also for like ragdoll stuff. And apparently all that compute has been moved off of the video card, and so now will be put onto the CPU. Which has there's like this video that I saw. So this is a really strange video. This is from CompuSemble. So on the left, this is a card with the PhysX turned all the way off. On the right, this is a 40 series card that does have the PhysX compute on the card. And in the middle, this is what happens when you turn on PhysX on a 50 series card. And these are the frame rates between the three cards. So if you look at Arkham Asylum, you can see that like without PhysX on, the 50 series card is getting like 300 frames per second. But with PhysX on, it's like sub 60, because all of that is being basically dumped off onto the CPU to do manually as opposed to being done in that hardware.
That's crazy.
Now, this won't actually affect, not every game used PhysX.
No, yeah.
But this is a real bad development, in my opinion, because like, you know what? I don't want to live in a world where buying the latest video card means that old games run really badly. Like spending $2,000 on a 5090 means that like Arkham Asylum or Arkham City runs poorly.
Yeah,
like,
it's fucking weird. Like, and seeing what it's used for in this video, because it shows exactly the particles and stuff it's doing for.
Yeah,
you're like, yeah, you're playing like a really bad version of it now because you're missing
smoke and
you're
particles,
missing whole like
and
atmosphere.
Yeah,
to like an area.
Yeah,
that's really fucked.
That's super fucked up. This is Arkham Origins, which runs better, but like still, I don't know, man. Like, you know, I guess this is, and then Arkham Knight here at the end, but yeah, I don't know. It's a real bummer, especially for if you're shelling out money for the newest and greatest.
Yeah,
you kind of want it. The first thing a lot of times you want to do is just see how good shit looks. Now these games are probably old enough that it's not as much of a thing, but
but still. It's so weird.
Yeah. And with that, we're going to go ahead and take a break. We come back. We got a shitload of trailers left to go. So stick around, and we'll see you in just a minute. And we're back. And Michael, this is the third part where I'm increasingly incoherent, so that means it's time to watch a bunch of videos.
Yeah.
And fall asleep in the warmest room in my house. This week, the big thing that happened is Hades 2 got a new update, the War Song update, that came out with a bunch of new levels and some new stuff. The big addition here is Ares hasn't been in the game yet, which, considering this is all about the gods warring against a Titan, that's a big thing. So we got the God of War. I swear to God, when I read the initial headline on this, they were like, the God of War is in Hades 2. And I was like, Kratos?
No, it's hard not to think that immediately.
Yeah.
Forgetting that Ares is the actual God of War.
The actual God of War.
Because, we murdered Ares a very long time ago.
That's
God
true.
Of War.
That's true. But yeah, there's a bunch of new updates. I went through a lot of the patch notes on this. There's like new familiars, and they've reworked the resource system.
Oh, okay.
So that like you don't actually have to, because it used to be that you would get like a shovel or a pickaxe or a thing, and then when you did your run, it was like, depending on which implement you brought, you would get one resource that you can then cash in later. And now it's like you can mine all resources as long as you've unlocked the thing to mine that resource.
Oh, okay.
So
that's neat. Probably was just making runs longer and people just weren't a fan of it.
Yeah, it seems like they're just kind of optimizing stuff. There's a bunch of new boons. They added some. They took some out. They added a bunch of new stuff to the sanctuary. There's like a music mode. There's some new tracks. There's some new cards. I forget what the little tarot cards that you unlock that do stuff. There's also a new big some question mark because there's two routes in Hades 2.
Oh, okay.
And one of those routes, you got to the end of it, and then it was like, we don't have anything else.
Like, to be continued.
Right. And then one of them, it's like you got, like, I think 2/3 of the way through it, and then it was just like, and nothing else. And you were like, well, it's just about to get good. So
I always forget that Hades 2 is basically in beta at the moment.
Yes,
and
it's in early access.
Because, but that's how the first one was at one point.
Yep.
Because a lot of people don't realize that's what. Because I remember when the first one, quote unquote, came out.
Yep.
We were watching something. I don't remember. Was it the Game Awards? I don't remember.
Yeah, I think so.
And then they're just like, and this thing is technically out now. And we stopped literally what we were doing.
Yep.
And we went straight to play.
Yep. But that was the one where, like, when Hades first launched, Meg was the end.
Yeah,
like
she
you
was
could
the
get
end.
once you got past her, it was like done.
Yeah.
And then it was a while before they got all of Tartarus put in, and then they had to do
crazy
other
amount
stuff.
of time. But we loved it, and we were just like, I can't fucking wait for the rest of this.
Oh yeah, I love this Arcana art that they have of the what's his face, the Minotaur and
I almost said Theseus. What the fuck is his name?
Was it? No, who was it in the first one?
I don't. What's the guy who originally defeated the Minotaur?
Oh, okay.
They just became like best friends or something.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name off the top of my head. I used to. It's been a very long time since I was obsessed with Greek mythology. So those names have slowly gone out of my head.
He's such a jackass in that game.
Oh, he's the fucking worst.
My favorite thing about him in the first game is that when you fight him in that Coliseum, there's one shade in the Coliseum that has a Zagreus banner, and you can always go up to him and just be like, "That's my guy right there."
My favorite thing is also you could trick him into defeating the Minotaur, and he'd be like, "Oh my god, you!" He's like, "I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to."
Yeah. So yeah, a bunch of new stuff. It all looks great. I'm very tempted, but I can't.
No,
I gotta wait.
I get it.
I can't because this is an Infinity game, and I just kind of want to wait for it to be done. Especially when I look at like what's been done with the. Like the way that they've adjusted everything means that I think this is more fun than it was before. So, also, I don't know if they've done this every time, Michael, but I thought this was really fun. So, they had the patch notes for this, and they have a video online that's 30 minutes long where it is the narrator from Hades reading the patch notes.
That's kind of incredible, actually.
So, it's just them like going down the list and dramatically reading all of the patch notes for the latest version of Hades.
More games should have that.
Yeah, which is great. Well, because the narrator is such an iconic voice of that franchise.
Actually, it should just be the narrator from the Stanley Parable every time. Be way funnier.
Yeah. Speaking of long ass videos, we also got a big video that kind of goes into more of the gameplay for Tides of Annihilation, the game that was in the PS state of play last week.
Yeah.
That was like the kind of Arthurian legend thing.
It was a very interesting one.
Yeah, it was really interesting. And so they kind of have they show off a little bit of the kind of narrative stuff, but they show off a lot more of the gameplay. This looks an awful lot like a kind of like a Devil May Cry style game.
Yeah, it's got that its art style is the same. The sort of area size also feels the same like that. It's interesting because it's been a while since I've seen one of these games look just like this.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Because even the Stellar Blade ones felt a little more open than this.
Yeah. So they show there's a lot of like summoning like these spirits to do attacks. Like it seems like maybe something where you can map them onto specific buttons or something to make different builds. And it's a very hacky slashy third person like kind of fast action. I'm not seeing a lot of like. I'm not seeing any Souls DNA, which I think was a good question that people would have had.
That makes me happy though, because not everything needs to be a Souls game.
Absolutely. I like Souls games, but yeah, man, I also like hack and slash games. I really like Stellar Blade, so glad to see something that's just a little bit more of a like real zoomed out third person, a lot of aerial combat, a lot of pulling people in and hitting stuff.
I'm glad nature's healing is all I'm saying.
Yeah, and it looks fantastic too. Like the graphical quality. Everything looks fantastic. This is 10 minutes, so we can't watch the whole thing, but they do have an end point. They've got a couple of interesting things. They start out with kind of just like a battle in the streets, and then there's definitely a part where the main character kind of goes into this dimension, and there's like these kind of almost like Doctor Strange warping of reality that happens. Kind of more like Bayonetta. There's like a sequence where there's like a rising tide of this kind of like red like corruption, and you have to kind of outrun it by running along like the side of a building, and the world is like warping and kind of going crazy.
This looks really cool, actually.
Yeah, and then it ends up with a kind of a boss fight against the blonde lady from the trailer, who is apparently Mordred. And again, it looks like a really interesting. They've got some like kind of big attacks, and there's a lot of like dodging and counterattacking and doing stuff. Whole game just looks fun as shit. It
looks really good. I'm actually really, because I remember when I saw that trailer, I'm like, what is this even supposed to be?
Yeah.
Now knowing what it is, I'm like, oh, this actually could be pretty cool if done well. It all depends on how it feels once you actually play it, because it can look great, but if the feeling of it feels off, then that can cause some issues.
It's just nice. I like a good third-person action game. And
I do too.
Like right now, and again, like I said, I like Souls games, but I'm tired of everything trying to be a Souls game.
Yeah.
I like just a good old-fashioned like third person. Let me power up and kick some ass kind of games. So
yeah, and then with that, and when they do flashy ass like explosion moves, that you can also do flashy ass explosion moves,
right?
Because that's the problem with Souls ones, that like all the enemies do these really cool things, and you're just like,
It depends on the weapon that you're. But yes, I get what you're saying.
No, you like you know what I mean, like default. Like you can't always do them, is what I mean.
Yeah.
Like you have to have things. You have to farm your way to get to that point.
Actually, it's really funny because I was watching the beta for Night Rain was last week, and I was watching people play that, and because it's like a like there's a circle that's closing thing, and because they took out fall damage and they took out like a few other things, and they gave you like a kick off the side of a thing and then mantle up. It is fast as fuck. Like, it is not the pace of Elden Ring. It is like hyper fast.
I kind of like that though.
Yeah, people should go check that out. So yeah, but anyway, this looks great. Tides of Annihilation. Bad name.
It's a weird name.
It doesn't stick very well. It's,
it also doesn't really tell you what it is. I feel. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm sure the story will make sense once you see it. But,
it's not an intriguing name. It doesn't stick. It doesn't stick very well.
And the trailer was just kind of nonsensical.
Yeah. Let's see. From there, we got a systems guide for Fatal Fury: City of the Wolves.
Nice.
Did you? I don't think you've watched this, have you?
No, I've not.
There's a lot of crazy stuff. There's this thing called the Rev system that you have, where basically it's like a meter, and the more you use it, the more it goes up. And then if you hit the top of the meter, you can't use any. You go to a cooldown where you just get hit.
Oh, okay.
And then there's also this thing called the SPG, Selective Potential Gear Gauge, that gives you a bonus to like attacks and defense. But you set it to either the first third of your health bar, the second third of your health bar, or the third third of your health bar.
Oh, okay. So it gives the boost depending on where it is.
Yeah. And then there's also these like rev blows that appear to be like powered up versions that will like basically make your gauge go up, that can let you you can rev block, you can rev attack, and they're like modifiers on attacks. It's got a lot of like kind of fucking crazy systems to it.
Oh, I can't fucking wait for this one.
You can use it kind of like in Mortal Kombat to power up like an attack, like a special attack or
like an
things
EX
like
meter,
that,
basically.
And then they also have like a very traditional EX meter down at the bottom where you can fill it up, and you can get two.
Oh, okay, so it's literally one. Okay, that's fucking interesting then.
Yeah, and then at the top, I think there's also like a guard break gauge, like a normal.
Yeah.
Like if you try to turtle up for too long, it'll break your guard. Just like a lot of crazy.
A rev guard. So the rev does a lot of different shit though.
Yeah, it's really really integrated directly into the system. Everybody should go. I mean, it's like a 5-minute video if you're interested in this. But yeah, they show they also show like there's a thing where if you hit with your full gauge, not gauge, but your full bars. So there's like a 1 bar and a 2 bar special attack. And if you hit with your 2 bar special attack, it will cool down your rev gauge all the way to the bottom. So you can like kind of continue.
That's fascinating.
It also has a perfect block system, like in Street Fighter Alpha or Street Fighter 3.
Oh, wow.
It also has like a weird like SPG gauge, like a rev block gauge system where it's like a down forward that blocks multiple hits and then can set you up for like a counterattack. There's like so much going on in here.
Yeah, holy shit. I'm very excited for this game.
Like
it was really difficult to learn all this, but holy shit.
I was watching it and it was like, oh, this is like some of that Smash Brothers bullshit, like where they're going into like super hyper detail about what exactly everything does.
I love that so much.
Also, there's an open beta going on right now.
Oh,
that's just for you. By the time this comes out, I think it'll be over. But
oh, damn.
I downloaded it earlier today. They've got like a practice mode and then an online mode.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, they also apparently have also the arcade style, which I like because it's the style for babies usually.
Yeah, that's usually what it is. But not like it's not a bad thing. It's just like it makes it a little easier for people.
Yeah. It also looks fantastic. Like it really looks like a good video game.
The art style on it like really works well. Because I was worried because there's the issue is that a lot of fighting games have an issue where they don't know how to translate into like the new way things are.
Right.
And sometimes it's sometimes they're really good at it, and sometimes you get some really fucking janky looks.
Yep.
But I think SNK's finally really figured it out because they were one of the ones that I was like, you guys are having some trouble here.
Like KOF didn't have very much. It was very like kind of flat. Like, and this has these like really super dark black shadows on it. That
it reminds me of the way characters looked in Marvel vs. Capcom 3.
Yeah,
like this shadowy type, like almost comic like look to it almost.
Yep.
Because KOF, what is it? What are we up to? 16?
15 or 16 or something like that.
Like, I like that one fine, but like people are still kind of too bright. Like, it's the issue I had with Street Fighter 5. There were some characters that just looked really weird because of their designs. But I think they've all really finally figured out getting it to look good and realistic at the same time.
Yeah.
So I'm very excited.
Yeah. Lots of crazy systems going on in here. Also, they announced like some of the DLCs. They announced a new character, Kane, who was apparently the final boss in the original Mark of the Wolves.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, because it's like, I know that guy.
He's going to be a playable character, and then they announced their first battle pass, which has Ken and Chun-Li from Street Fighter, Andy Bogard, Joe Higashi, and Mr. Big.
It's so weird that every fighting game now just has like guest characters now.
Yeah.
Like I don't think there's not many of them that don't now.
Yeah, KOF has a lot of... Well, KOF and Street Fighter have really started just crossing over whenever the fuck they feel like it.
I'm cool with it, though. I'm happy with it. Tekken really opened the door to, like, I don't fucking give a shit.
Yep.
Walking Dead characters? Fuck it.
Yep.
Final Fantasy characters? Yeah, we got them.
Whatever you feel like. So
yeah, I'm very excited in this new world of fighting games.
And then let's see. The beta goes until February 24th. So by the time you guys hear this, you might have time if it's Sunday night or even Monday. I'm not entirely sure, but let's see. From there, we got a new trailer for Date Everything.
Oh wow!
This was supposed to be out by now. It originally had a release date of like Valentine's Day. And I wanted to play it, and then I was like, oh, it's not out. So, but this trailer basically shows meeting a new character that we haven't seen before called Molly. Molly is the Dust Bunny. And so she's dressed kind of like a dusty Playboy bunny, and she's got a little dust bunny that's like her friendo. So
that would fuck with so many people's sinuses.
These it's funny because part of this is they're talk about like one of the dialogue options is, isn't dust just like dead skin cells and like bug parts and stuff? And she's like, yes, but you also have a million bugs crawling all over you all the time. How are you not any more disgusting than I am?
The companion's name's Lint Eastwood. That's so dumb. I love it.
Yeah. It still looks fantastic. It looks really silly. Yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be out in June, I believe. So and they showed they kind of had this new like splash screen at the end that showed some more of the characters.
What a crazy idea of a game still.
Yep. I'm interested. I can't wait for it to come out. I'm gonna totally play it. I'm really invested in the apparently like the clothes pile is like a guy, and then the hamper is like a lady, and they have like an on again off again like
that is
like
kind
contentious
of fun.
relationship.
That's so much fun, actually. I love that.
Yeah.
Look at all.
Let's see. Speaking of like kind of crazy cartoony stuff, we had a console release date announcement for Blue Wednesday, which is a game. It's like a kind of a cartoony like third person game where you're playing as a guy that's like working a day job and then trying to be a musician in their spare time, and so it's got a kind of like a rhythm based Guitar Hero type of thing.
Okay.
The trailer has a lot of really good music in it. I think this is already out on the PC. I'm not entirely sure, but I hadn't heard of it until now, and so
I never heard of it either.
It's got a very like distinctive and cool art style, in my opinion, and some little like mini game stuff that's going on. So yeah, looks pretty fun. And it is coming out on March 27th. So
that's fun. Good for them.
Let's see. After that, we get the announcement trailer for Isafa Guys.
What the fuck am I looking at?
This is a game where you play as a bunch of old men whose necks grow super long, and then it's a physics game where you're using your long neck to grab onto stuff with your teeth, and then you're platforming and you're moving around and you're doing crazy shit.
Oh my god!
It reminds me a lot of there was like one with a dog, where it was like the dog had two heads.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Or sort of Mount Your Friends a little bit.
A little bit. The Mount Your Friends the stuff is definitely like part of it.
It's very weird. It's very strange. I actually went online to be like, is this by somebody that have I heard of this company before? And it's like, nope, this is their first game. And
That's fucking crazy.
All right, this is what we want. We want weird games about old men with long necks. Who knows? It could be the best game that comes out this year.
Here's the thing. EA would never make this game, and that's exactly why we need these types of games.
Yes, because it looks fucking crazy. It looks absolutely berserk, and I can't wait to give it a try.
Here's the fun thing about this. This definitely would have been a Super Nintendo game years ago.
Oh, absolutely.
Like that time frame, people were making some dumb shit.
Yep.
Like Uniracers, which is like the unicycle racing guys.
Yep.
That's a real thing. Look it up.
Isn't that rare?
I don't remember. I have it somewhere.
Uniracers? Anyway, it's coming out in the spring. I got to find out who made Uniracers. I thought it was one of those like Rockstar North was the ones who made Uniracers. Yeah,
Really?
I knew it was somebody.
What the fuck? Okay, that's even better then.
But that was one back before they got bought, so they were called DMA Design. But yeah, they were the company that originally became Rockstar. Or
that's so funny.
Eventually became Rockstar North.
Yeah,
so.
what a crazy time frame that was.
Speaking of crazy bullshit, we also got the launch trailer for The Strongest Tofu on the Nintendo Switch. This is a game where you pick your tofu, and you are a block of tofu, and it's like a platformer, and it's fucking berserk and crazy, and I don't know how these games get made.
I don't even know how to explain it.
Yeah. At one point, there's just like a guy in a King Kong costume in the background. There's like a kind of some photorealistic stuff. There's like a quiz part. I don't know what the hell is happening.
I don't know what to say. I generally don't know what to say.
But that is The Strongest Tofu. It is now on sale. You can buy it right now for your Nintendo Switch. Be the tofu that you want to see in the world.
Oh my goodness. I generally don't know what to say. Like the more I thought I understood what the game was, the less it made sense.
Yep.
What the fuck?
We had a bunch of weird shit this week. Let's see. We also got, speaking of like crazy shit, there's a demo out now on the PS5 for Promise Mascot Agency. Steam Next Fest is starting, so there's a bunch of demos coming out. This is the game for the people that made Paradise Killer, which was very well received.
You told me about this one. I remember I was on the podcast for this one.
Yep. Oh, no, I like the trailer for this. Basically, just keeps showing parts of the game, and it says open world, mascot management, crime drama. And it just keeps saying that over and over again.
Showing like bits of each thing.
Yep. You play as a Yakuza who is exiled to like the countryside, and you open up an agency where you are managing mascots, and there's a bunch of horrible mascot people that are out there, and you're driving them around in a truck, taking them to jobs, discovering them, going through the world, and it looks absolutely berserk and insane.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I really want to try this out because Paradise Killer was a little bit more just like text and more text, and this looks like it's a little bit more crazy Grand Theft Auto with like a weird guy. But then there's all these like manga panels that keep coming up.
It's insane. Like this is why we need indie gaming.
Yeah,
because indie games are willing to make the weirdest possible shit you've never heard of.
I like it when a company makes a crazy game, and then some large publisher is like, "We'll give you money to make whatever your next game is," and they're like, "Oh, will you now?"
Yeah. They're just like, "I believe in you, you fucking weirdo," and they're like, "I'm gonna make you regret that, probably."
Yep, pretty much.
I love it. I love them so much.
I'm gonna give it a try. I'm gonna give that demo a try. We also got an announcement for the demo for Into the Dead, which was this kind of like 80s themed 2D zombie game.
I remember this
kind of side scrolling. They had a demo before, but apparently they've done a bunch of updates. And it's just like very... It reminds me a lot of... There's been a couple of these kind of side scroller zombie style games. But it looks pretty good. So, I don't know. I'll check it out. It's not necessarily like blasting my nips off, but
but it looks like a good time.
Solid. Yeah. Let's see. We also got the release date trailer for Karma the Dark World. Michael, I feel like every time I talk about Karma the Dark World, you are here because this is the incredibly bizarre game with like people with TV heads and like a guy with a bunch of stitches on his head and like some weird paramilitary stuff and like an oppressive dystopian
There's so much happening in this thing.
Yeah, it is unclear what in the world is happening in this video game.
Every time I see it, I'm somehow feel like it's the first time I've ever seen it because it's so insane every time.
This particular trailer keeps putting words up, and they are the lyrics to the song that is playing in the background.
Okay.
It's being sung in such a strange way that you literally wouldn't be able to understand the words unless you saw them on the screen. I realized today when I was watching this trailer why I like this so much, and it's because I didn't really realize it until now, but there are some really heavy Kojima vibes in here.
I get that. I get that feel from it.
Of just like, here's a snippet of something in this game that makes absolutely no sense. And then when you play, it reminded me a little bit of the first time we saw Death Stranding, and it was just Norman Reedus on the beach holding a baby, and then the baby disappeared.
Yeah.
And then there were footprints, and then Norman Reedus was crying, and then the camera like went down his throat, and the baby was there, and we were like, what?
No, yeah. I still think that watching that trailer, having played that game.
Yeah. Because there's a lot of iconography going on in this trailer. The fucking
I don't know what's happening.
I couldn't tell. It looks like it's just going to be like a walking simulator, but
every time I think I know what's happening, something else happens.
I don't know what the TV heads are about.
Nope.
They
really love Saga, I guess. I don't know.
Even the words
crazy.
To the song don't make any sense. Like nothing in this trailer makes any sense, and I love it. I want to play it real bad.
I'm very interested to see what this ends up becoming.
Yeah.
Because, again, even the more we look at it, the less it makes sense to me.
Yep. Somebody is obviously doing their thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that thing is, but they're doing their thing.
Somebody had a vision,
Yep.
and that vision was uncompromising.
Yep.
To the point where somebody's like, what are we making? He's like, don't ask questions.
Yes, just make the guy upside down in the straitjacket.
Like it's gonna, when it's all played together, it's gonna come together.
Yep.
But I bet you everyone who's making this separately is like, I don't know. I generally don't know what's happening.
March 27th is when that's coming out.
That's pretty soon.
Yeah, not that long.
Oh, my
End of next
goodness.
month, about a month. So would it be now? See, that would be crazy if it turns out that this was a Hideo Kojima game.
Oh, that would be fucking weird.
The entire time.
That would be so fucking funny.
Here's a blast from the past. We got a gameplay trailer for Monaco 2.
Oh.
You remember Monaco from back in the old days, the heist game?
Yeah, I completely forgot about
It's
that.
like kind of top down with some little blocky characters and stuff.
I'm amazed they're even making any more of it.
It was announced a little while back, but yeah, it appears they've got kind of an eclectic group of people, and it's all kind of in this top-down isometric, but it's 3D. So there's like a character that can distract people. There's a character that can like knock people out. They also show there's like a just this big brawler lady that you can use if the alarm gets set off. So yeah, It definitely looks like Monaco. It's strange to me to think that, like, has that developer done anything since the first Monaco?
I generally don't think so.
Have they just been working on this for like 10 years? More than 10 years?
That happens sometimes, though, in like the weirdest ways.
I mean, like, I like it. It looks, the art style and everything looks nice. So we'll see if it's as compelling as the first one is, because I think that a lot of games have done what the original Monaco did, but better.
Yeah, the original Monaco was a very well received game, and like I said, everybody basically aped it off. So I don't know. Maybe it's better. I don't know. Who knows? It's just very strange to me that it's been this long.
Let's see. 2013 was when that came out.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And oh no, did they do Tooth and Tail?
Did they really?
Is that them? Yeah, Pocket Watch Games. They did that Tooth and Tail game. So.
That's so weird.
Okay, there you go.
Well, good for them.
All right.
They made something.
Let's see. We also got, speaking of throwback games, we got the launch trailer for Tomb Raider 4 through 6 remastered.
Yeah, this is the point where people sort of stopped caring about Tomb Raider originally.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm going to take a look at it next week. Mostly because I've never played this far into the franchise, and it seems like it has a lot more to do with shooting like guys and less to do with shooting T-Rexes. So,
yeah, I remember playing one of these because my sister had it.
Yeah,
and I don't even remember. I remember people being like, "I don't even think this is a good game at all." Because I remember one of I think it was the 5th or the 6th one. Because I remember that it had that cover with her like looking almost like a goth person.
Oh, with the glasses and the cat suit?
Yeah, because it was like the dark adventures of Lara Croft because we don't know what we're doing. You're like, okay, cool, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I don't understand what's happening in this game.
I don't know. I mean, I never played any of them, so I don't know. I didn't even realize that they had made a full 6 before they rebooted.
I had completely forgot about that. I had assumed that that game I had played was the last one. It might have been, but it's been so long.
It looks pretty good, though. The remaster of it looks pretty good, so I don't know. Find out.
Yeah.
Find out.
I don't know. Maybe they'll be better now. Who knows?
Another throwback game. This launched this week. Stories from Soul the Gundog. This is like a visual novel, kind of, but it's like intensely 90s mecha space anime themed.
I do love that.
Apparently, there's not a lot of like there's not like a lot of gameplay outside of just like kind of walking around talking to people.
Yeah.
Even though there are like spaceships and giant robots and stuff, but it's like a cast of characters on a ship in space, and we're all fighting for Earth, and there's like romance, but also there's like mechs and stuff like that show up, and there's space battles and et cetera, et cetera. But it's a visual novel. It's not like you have to pilot your mech.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm really kind of interested. It got a pretty good review, but then a lot of I don't know how I feel about just like it's just a story.
That was also just the DOM. I don't know what to tell you. That was just the DOM.
Yep. But it looks like 90s Gundam is shit. Like
yeah, which is fun. I like that. I like the design. But if it's just a visual novel, I could maybe have someone with that.
I don't know. Maybe if it was on like Game Pass or something, I'd be a little more interested in checking it out. Because I mean, like they do show these they show these scenes where, at least for a visual novel, it's graphically interesting.
Oh yeah,
they got these kind of panels where stuff is moving through panels and doing stuff. So.
I think that's the only reason I'd even want to try this, because it has a really cool idea to it.
Yeah. Anyway, it's out now. Let's see. Speaking of mechs, we got a new trailer and an open beta announcement for Mecha Break. Michael, I desperately wish that this game was not multiplayer.
Yeah.
Like desperately. Like it looks so fucking cool. Like I'd play the crap out of this game.
Our mechs are either visual novels or multiplayer games now, it turns out. Joe.
Yeah. Actually, there's one more mech game that we haven't talked about this week that is neither visual novel nor multiplayer game, but we'll get to that. It's also disappointing in its own way.
Okay.
This trailer looks so good. It looks so flashy.
It really is.
And there's so many explosions, and there's so much cool shit happening on the screen that I think I might have to try this even if I just get my ass kicked. Like,
you might as well. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
Like, it just looks like a fun time.
It's so fast.
But it being a multiplayer game it really makes it more difficult.
God, if these guys just made like a fucking Gundam game or like a Macross game or like...
Or just this, but single player.
Or just this, but single player. Yeah. I would play the absolute shit out of it because, like, I love the designs and everything looks very cool. And they've got this, like, missiles and lasers going everywhere and exploding. And
it looks so fucking rad, guys.
It's so good looking, and I just want...
Particles are everywhere. Yeah. Them's the breaks, Jeff.
Why is it got to be multiplayer? I don't want it. I want it. I want it and I don't want it. Give it to me, but don't give it to me. Give it to me, give me something different than that. They're also having a beta test, open beta test, starting on the 23rd.
Oh, okay. That's
so
pretty soon. Once this comes out, yeah.
Yeah, today. I might check that out because I'm sure it'll be, you don't have to pay for that. Let's see. We also got the trailer for Mecharashi. This is another kind of mech game. This one's a little bit more esoteric. This one is a lot more like the trailer here looks a lot grittier. It's a lot more realistic. And you got kind of what they've kind of got a little bit of the Armored Core route of like what there's like drugs and people hooked up to like life support machines.
Okay.
But there's like these big mechs and they're towering and there's all this like swelling music and everything looks really cool. Michael, would you like to guess what sort of game this is? You know that it's not a multiplayer game, and you know that it's not a visual novel. Would you like to guess what kind of game this is?
Is it a mobile game?
It is not a mobile game.
Okay, well, that's good, at least. Is it a tower defense game?
It is a tactics game.
It's a tactics game.
It's front mission, basically.
Okay. That was going to be my next guess.
And what's also strange is that when you look at the screenshots, like the trailer is very dark and gritty, and the screenshots, they're not exactly like bright and colorful, but they're brighter and more colorful.
100%
than that was.
I almost had a left field one, and I was going to be a football manager.
Yeah, I watched that, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Then I went to go to the Steam page, and I was like, wait a minute, what? And then I started looking at it, I was like, oh, it's front mission.
Yeah, it's just front mission.
Which, like, there's nothing wrong with that, but
I actually almost did make a front mission joke. I was like, oh, these look like those Wanzers.
Yep. The Wanzers. Yep. I am, though, happy that this is another case of, like, you guys don't want to make a front mission game? Well, then fuck you. I'll just make my own fucking front mission game.
Yeah. That's the people need to keep doing that more.
We also got the announcement, the latest game coming in from Relic Entertainment. This is Earth versus Mars.
Interesting.
Where the Earthlings go to Mars, and then the Martians say, you've invaded Mars, so we're coming to Earth. We're going to do a counter invasion. What's interesting about this, Michael, is that this is Advanced Wars.
Okay, I did not expect that.
Yep, it's Mars, and then you're playing as like the Earth forces, and then when the two sides go to attack each other, it's basically just Advanced Wars comes up.
Just Advanced Wars.
It's literally Advanced Wars.
Not even pretending not to be Advanced Wars.
Apparently, though, as the human side, you get to like do some crazy like human splicing where you can like splice a person and like an animal.
Oh my god.
And you can make some mutants that are able to just like lay waste to the battlefield. What a crazy out of left field thing that I just told you is a thing.
Yeah, this is another example of what you were saying, where there's somebody's just like, you're not gonna make Advanced Wars, then I'll make Advanced Wars.
Yep.
With blackjack and hookers.
Yep. That's supposed to be coming out, I think, at some point this year. So
that's crazy. It was literally just Advanced Wars.
It's just Advanced Wars.
Oh my god, I kind of love that though. That they just went fucking.
And then, hey, here's another big surprise that happened. Monster Train 2 was announced. So you and I played the first Monster Train, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did. It feels like we did. I don't remember. It's been a while.
Kind of card-based game where you're on a train and you're playing as hell, like you're trying to keep heaven out of your bullshit. But this time, heaven and hell have teamed forces to defend against a race called the Titans. So
that's fun.
Yeah, and crazily enough, demo out right now on the PC. So
that's kind of crazy.
Yep. Which is interesting. It's very interesting.
Good for them.
Yep. So
there's a lot going on in the trailer.
Yeah. We gotta finish it up. Speaking of demos, there's also a demo out for the posthumous investigation, which is the thing where it's like a noir mystery in Rio de Janeiro. It's a time loop where I don't know if you and I talked about that, but
we definitely did not.
It's a very interesting game. It's kind of like a little side scroller where you're kind of going around and you're collecting clues and stuff. But at the end of every day, you time loop back to the beginning and you tell the next version of yourself like what you know. So you're able to like move forward in the investigation. And it's got a really like solid kind of 2D art style. And
that's fucking interesting. I like that idea.
It was interesting. It's 1930s Rio de Janeiro, and it was announced at the Day of the Devs. But
that makes sense,
yeah, it's got a really fantastic art style. I think it looks really good. Let's see what happens. And then let's wrap it up with a few more announcements. Let's see. Night Dive announced that System Shock 2 Enhanced Edition, which has been on our radar for a little while, is going to be coming to not just the PC, but also the PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Series X and S. And then I think this is the new one. This is a Switch. It's also going to be on the Switch.
Okay.
And they're going to be showing off more of it at the Future Game Showcase Spring Edition that happens March 20th.
Oh, dear God.
So stay on the lookout for that with the new trailer. You know what I'm really hoping is I'm hoping that they just make System Shock 2, but that they adjust all of the gameplay to make it a little bit less punishing, because that was why I always quit playing System Shock 2, because I was just like, I have nothing and I'm dying and I don't know what the fuck you want out of me, System Shock 2. So
yeah, that's the thing about because I was talking to somebody recently about remasters and remakes and stuff. They're like, why would anyone would want to play these? I'm like, you have no idea how often they just make things easier for the person.
Yep.
Like, hell, even the re-release of Wonderful 101 gave you the counter move for free instead of you having to buy it, because it made the game way easier.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll find out more in the future Game Spring Showcase. Let's see. Game Pass announced the remaining titles for February. So we had Avowed on there before, but we also got the news that EA Sports F1 24 is coming on the 20th. Rogue Trader also on the 20th, so both those will be out. And then if you are a psychotic weirdo and you want to play Watch Dogs Legion, that's going to be available on the February 25th.
Completely forgot that even existed.
I played that game all the way to the end. It is not a very good game.
That's unfortunate.
Well, I liked Watch Dogs 2 so much that
Dude, no, Watch Dogs. That's the thing. Funny thing about Watch Dogs. Watch Dogs 1 is not very good.
Yep.
Watch Dogs 2, everybody fucking adored.
Yep.
And then Watch Dogs Legion was nobody fucking gave a shit about it.
It would have been more interesting if they hadn't done the kind of semi-cyber future thing. Like the idea, it actually worked relatively well with the no protagonist. Like each person can be a protagonist type of thing.
That was it was an interesting idea,
but they just didn't execute on it very well.
Yeah.
For all you sickos out there who are going to be playing Watch Dogs Legions, Infinity Nikki is also getting a release on Steam. There was no real connective tissue with that segue, just more the fact that there's crazy people out in the world.
That's
Infinity
true.
Nikki has been on the Epic Game Store exclusive on the PC for a little while now, even though it's on the PlayStation.
I didn't even realize that.
Yep. It is free to play, and it is coming at some point this year to Steam relatively soon. They did not give a specific release date, but it also is coming with a new event called the Journey of Wish. Amanda and I were flummoxed by this game. We didn't really understand what was happening. So.
I completely forgot about it. I didn't even realize it was out yet.
Yep. So, I mean, PlayStation, it's free to play on the PlayStation. So.
I did not realize that.
Yep. Speaking of free to play stuff on the PlayStation, Astrobot is getting 5 more free levels.
Oh my god! I have things to do now, Jeff. I gotta go.
Yep. So the first one we've got. The first one is TikTok Shock, and then as of today, there's 2: Thrust or Bust. February 27th, Cockadoodle Doom. March 6th, Hard to Bear. March 13th, Armored Hardcore. They all are like more. They're less like the holiday level, and they're more like the challenge levels.
Oh, they're the time ones because they're more of the time. Because I can see the. Well, no, it might not be a time trial one again.
I think they're just like you just have to get to the end in one shot. Those levels. So.
Yeah, I think that was the time because it was basically like a time trial. Those levels.
Oh well, there's the time stopper.
Well, no. You remember the time? You remember the time trial levels where they were basically time trials because you had to like beat these birds to the end of the level.
Oh,
so like and if you depending on if you beat both birds, you would get the trapped bots from it, which is why it was very difficult to do that fucking monkey one.
Oh, okay.
So it was super difficult.
I don't remember that, but
yeah, they were the last free levels they did.
Oh, okay.
Because those were the last things I did before when I beat the game. But now I can go back to the game. I didn't uninstall it, so I'm glad I didn't.
Yeah, here's more good news. They're also putting out a patch for the PS Pro to raise the resolution a little bit while keeping it at 60 frames per second.
Nice. It's a great game. If you guys have not played it, please, for the love of God, play this game.
Game of the year, man.
Holy shit.
Like an Astrobot.
It absolutely earns that.
Yep. Great platformer. Really fun. Let's see. We got some strange other news here. Dead by Daylight has canceled all of their current expansions to try to basically revamp the game.
It's a good move.
Apparently, Dead by Daylight is having a problem right now where they've got like people that will go hide to spoil a match. The people who've decided the match is over, so they'll just run right up to the killers to get killed. There are problems with like bots extending a match way longer than it should be. So they're taking all this criticism into account. Actually, this article on PC Gamer likened it to the state that Team Fortress 2 was in, where there's also actual bots playing the game. So
this makes sense. There's a friend of mine for years was telling me, he's like, dude, Dead by Daylight has been in a bad shape for a while. Like people like there's one is the meta, 2 is all pretty much everything you said.
Yeah.
And 3 is just that like there's too many people that are just streaming it.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're doing it for like the lulz kind of thing. So that's part of why like that stuff happens where they're like, oh, the match is done because I'm just gonna be a dick about it.
Yeah.
So like that makes it harder to just enjoy the game as a normal game anymore.
Yeah, so they're going to work on all that stuff, and they've got 2 big phases. There's kind of like a spring phase, and there's like a later in the year phase, which is good. I'm glad to see somebody just being like, yeah, we're going to try to fix what's there before we move forward with more, hey, pay for this stuff. So.
Yeah, it's a good move. It's a very good move, because if you don't, then the game's just going to die, even if you have new stuff.
Yes, very true. Also... Hyperlight Breaker came in with a game plan because apparently the early access launch for Hyperlight Breaker, the world feels like too empty and the bosses feel too hard and the rewards that you get are too low and just kind of feels bad to play all around. Apparently like the music is good and the art style is pretty decent, but like the actual gameplay is not the best. The developers come out with like basically a roadmap to fix it, and has also expressed that they're not like disappointed. They're like, this is why we put it into early access to like refine it based on feedback from the players. So, but yeah, February, March, April, and then more. They've got some very specific roadmap stuff to get out there, which is good. I'm glad I didn't actually download the game. It was kind of on the list for dojos, and I was like,
yeah, because you're not. I remember you just saying you're like, I'm not really that invested in this game to begin with. So
Hyperlight Drifter, I liked okay, but I never finished it. And then the Void Soul or whatever it was called, they did after that. I didn't really care for that. So I was like, I'm not chomping at the bit over here.
No, that's fair.
It's better to be a gaming omnivore if you can. Like, it's better to have a wide variety of interests, because then there's always something to mess with.
Exactly.
So, let's see. Now, I know here's the news that you've been waiting for, Michael. Twisted Metal Season 2 has a release date.
I completely forgot that show fucking existed. People really liked that first season, though.
Apparently, it was very well received.
Even Martin really liked that first season.
Yeah, well, apparently the beginning, the first season ended with them going to like a tournament. Callisto's tournament. So this is the tournament arc with Anthony Mackie, and apparently Stephanie Beatriz is in there as well. I don't know if what's his face is still doing the voice.
Will Arnett.
Will Arnett is doing Sweet Tooth's voice. I don't know. I didn't hear him at all in this trailer, but apparently whatever was happening, it was good enough that apparently it was like Peacock said it was like the most binged show on their platform.
Oh, wow.
In the year it came out.
That's crazy.
Which is a very specific claim. Like, it wasn't the most popular, but it was the most
Everybody
binged.
watched it.
Everybody who watched it kept watching it.
Yeah.
I feel like I need to go back and watch it because I never did.
I kind of feel the same way because I also never watched it.
Yeah.
But everyone I knew was like, even, like, especially the people who weren't really that into it, like, or knew that into the series, was like, no, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Also, I didn't realize who they got it for Callisto. That's actually kind of funny.
Who is it?
They got NoHo Hank to be Callisto.
Oh, is that who that was?
The Calypso, yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize.
It's him because it's just him with a wig on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, he had hair, so I didn't realize it.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm like, fuck, that's NoHo Hank.
Well, fuck, I feel like you're totally in now.
Not
the
kind
first
of
season had Will Arnett, and the second season has NoHo Hank.
And he's great, though, because I know he can be menacing and but funny at the same time. That's kind of what Calypso is.
Do you have Peacock?
I don't.
Do you want my login?
I used to. I might
Take
as
my
well,
login.
yeah.
Take my login. Watch
That's
season.
really tempting.
Somebody ought to watch Twisted Metal.
Might as well, yeah. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I forgot about that entirely.
Summer of this year. The first one was in 2023, and 2023 was a banger year for fucking video games.
It was, yeah.
But
it's one of the reasons I didn't watch it, to be honest. There's so much going on that year.
Yeah, but this summer we're getting more. Even though there was a Twisted Metal game that was in production that got axed last year.
Yeah, because it was the live service game, and they're like, I don't think people want this anymore.
Last of Us Season 2 has a release date. April 13th.
Okay.
So Last of Us Season 2 right around the corner. Just in time for my birthday will be this franchise as a series that I don't really watch. But
Did you hear that Abby's not going to be super buff anymore?
Well, I saw the actress that is playing Abby, and she did not appear to be very buff Yeah, around the time that they were filming it.
Yeah, they were saying like, yeah, we couldn't figure out how to just make her super buff, so we're just not going to do it.
Okay,
basically. And I was like, you could have just got a super buff person. But the problem is, later on, I don't think you could have done the last part with that way.
Yeah,
because you can't force them, to do the opposite.
I don't know. All right, let's finish up with 2 funny stories. First off, Michael, something real big happened in Dragon Ball Daima.
It happened, guys. It's real now.
A big fucking thing happened. There were 2 things, apparently, from this article. I had to read all about Dragon Ball that happened. But the crazy part is that the thing that happened, they put into a modder, just put into Sparking Zero.
Shit, that was a week ago, guys. That wasn't even that long ago.
Yep. Well, the thing is that Sparking Zero has all that crazy editing tools.
That's true.
So it's like you just had to swap out one character model, and from what I understand, the thing that happens, you can kind of do a recolor in a way and use some existing assets in a way that does the thing that happened in the show.
Oh my goodness.
And then they made their own custom cutscenes with the little cutscene editor thing from Sparking Zero.
Yeah, because I recognize this little cutscene that they used for it.
Yeah,
because it's one of the what if cutscenes you can get.
Yep. And then they just modded in the it was just a thing where they just replaced the file with another file.
Yeah, they did that so fast. Oh my god, I can't believe they did that this fast.
And so yeah,
for you guys who don't know, something that people have been wanting to be canon for a very long time.
Yeah,
which has been a running gag where a lot of us just say, look guys, it's never going to happen, just fucking stop.
Right.
Finally happened.
Yeah.
And we all lost our collective shit, even the ones who also were like, it's never going to happen, because we had accepted it was never going to happen.
Sure.
And then it happened, and then I also lost my shit because I actually wanted it to happen for a very long time.
Yeah.
That just leaves one other thing that I want to happen that may never happen now. But fuck, guys, I'm so fucking happy.
I love how vague we have to be on this for fear of not everybody has been watching this all the time. But if you have, you know what we're talking about.
Especially because there's a lot of dub watchers who are probably not going to watch it anytime soon.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for you guys. I'm super happy with this.
It's so funny to think of just how you could mash up a bunch of the assets in this game and then just do the thing that happened.
Yeah, they got it pretty damn well on there because because there's a lot of details that I'm like, you had to actually have had to mod it to make that part of the detail work.
Yeah,
because that's so much fun.
Yep.
Fucking hell.
So there you go.
That's so crazy.
And to finish, this is so funny. I'm going to show you the headline for this. I'm going to tell you what I assumed it was, and I'm going to tell you what it actually is, and it's even funnier than what you thought.
Okay.
So the headline to this story is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is galloping towards 2 million copies sold, and you may soon be able to celebrate that by watching Hans Capon shag Hans Capon. So you remember Hans from
I do,
from Kingdom Come. You know how Hans is a romance option that pissed off the internet. Your main Henry can romance Hans if you try really hard.
Yeah,
and it pissed people off. So I saw this headline and I assumed that what it was that people had modded the game to put Hans's character model on Henry, and then the cutscene where the two of them go at it was just Hans on Hans action.
Is it not that?
It is not that.
That's surprising.
Here's what it actually is. The guy that voices Hans in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is live streaming.
Oh my god.
Kingdom Comes Deliverance 2. He is with his voice, and the chat asks him, "Who are you going to romance?" And he says, "Who am I going to romance? I'm a fucking narcissist. Who the fuck do you think I'm going to romance? I'm going to romance myself. God damn it!"
That is the greatest thing. That's the greatest thing I've ever heard.
And he sounds, he's a voice actor, so he sounds exactly like Hans.
It's just his voice of him saying, "I'm going to fuck myself." Isn't it?
Yep. Pretty much.
Oh my god, I love that so much.
It's great. It's great.
I love when people have that ability. They're just like, "I look like the guy. I'm going to fucking do the thing."
Well, and it's like when the Baldur's Gate 3 voice actors were when the guy that voices Astarion is streaming the game, and I'm like, I like it when that happens because
I love that.
They can just kind of write their own fanfic. So
I've heard of a lot of those guys doing stuff like that, and it makes me just so happy that they can just do that.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty much. And that's our show. We went over a lot. Michael, tell them where they can find you. We're not over here going over time with me on the RageSelect podcast.
You can find me on OneOfUs.net. We do a lot of movie, television reviews. You can also sometimes find me on YouTube under Supermaniacs. It's a Superman podcast I sometimes do.
Okay. And patreon.com/RageSelect. I need cough drops. Donate so that I can suck on a cough drop and still have a voice. And, yeah. We'll see you next week. Oh, goodbye, everybody.